James catches, puts up a three. Won't go. Rebound Bosch. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang! Tie game with 5 seconds remaining.
Give me a second. Hopefully this disappears. Okay, there we go. So apologize that, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes the area that I'm at, usually there's like sometimes a bit of lag. But anyway, guys, welcome. Happy Sunday evening to everybody watching right now on YouTube. This is your boy Lewis Sports Network coming back at you with another heavy hitter live stream with another video. Smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. Make sure those notifications are turned on. Make sure you guys are sharing this on your social media platforms. Truly appreciate it. I got 2 special guests. I'm supposed to have 3 coming in, but right now, just gonna give a shout out to Anthony L. I want to shout out to Jay Jefferson, man. How you guys doing? And guys, welcome to the show, man. How you guys doing?
Oh
Thanks
I'm
for
feeling
having
like
me.
a villain.
Appreciate it.
So we got one chilling like a villain. We got we got my boy Anthony L, man. He's all good, taking care of his son, and everything's good. So like I said, I want to thank you guys both for coming in. Hopefully Sean is able to come on the back end, and then obviously we could get the ball rolling. But we're gonna get the ball start rolling right now. So like I said, everybody who was watching, hope you guys enjoy this stream. Hope you guys get a lesson learned from this, man, because I think, with our articulate brothers that I have here on the panel, and then with Sean coming on through, hopefully, if you can, hope you guys get something from this. And I just want to make this very clear before I start. I'm not doing this, as they say, chasing clout chasing at all. I'm just doing this to have an intelligent conversation and for us to, number one, listen to one another and to speak and just give our thoughts about what's going on. It's just a lesson for everybody to listen and to learn, because a lot of times we tend to jump in without really understanding facts, without really trying to get the time to listen and communicate with one another. And then all of a sudden it just creates argument, obviously. But when you think it's really creating the debate, all you're trying to do is just trying to get your point across, but not trying to listen to the other person. And that way it's like you don't get to hear a different perspective. So our opinions are respected, even if we don't agree with them. The whole point is, let's listen to each other and make sure you may say something that just might make you think about something before you speak. So, that's the whole point of this. It's an educative lesson that I want everybody to learn, because everybody's already pretty much talked about it. I didn't want to get on the Kwame wave. I didn't want to. I just wanted to watch, lay back, listen to what other people were saying before I said, let me see if I wanted to cook on this or not. So that's why I invited 2 of my good guests right here, Jay and Ant, and hopefully Sean could get in. Speaking of Sean, there he is.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my main man, Sean. Man, Sean, how's it going, man? Welcome to the panel.
Hey, what's up, Lewis? What's up, Anthony and Jason?
What's good, Sean?
What's good, Sean? What's popping?
Yeah, not much. Just ready for this convo.
I already know. I know, Sean. Which is why
I'm a big time Laker fan. Look, Kwame. He has every right to say, defend his honor, but
wait, hold on, Sean.
All right.
I know you wanted to get the fireworks started. Hold on. I'm actually gonna start with you since you already got a lot. But honestly, before we get started with that, I actually want to keep that Kwame stuff for the meat and potatoes, because we got a lot to cover on that in terms of the people that have been going with Kwame recently. So shout out to Ryan in the building, man. Appreciate you coming on through, Ryan. Salute in the chat. I see you. All right, guys. So we're actually going to start off with this topic first. I want to talk about Russell Westbrook and what happened in Game 3 when he injured his ankle. And what happened is that he injured his ankle and he was headed to the locker room. And apparently a fan just started to sprinkle popcorn like if it was just another nighttime shower, for Russell Westbrook. And I just want to say this, and it's really, really disgusting. When I talk about Russell Westbrook, I criticize him as a basketball player on what he does on the court. I don't question his drive. I don't question his passion. I don't question the fact that he brings it every single night. Never question that. Okay? Never question that. I've always said that Russell is one of the most dynamic guards I've ever seen. He is a great player. Great player. All-time triple-double leader, all that. I give Russell all the credit in the world. Former MVP. The guy is that talented. Anytime I've criticized him is about his decision-making in big moments in games. That's all. Jay could be the first to tell you. I've always done that. The one thing
Yeah, you've been speaking about this for years, man.
I've said this for years, and people have still to this day called me a Russell Westbrook hater when they still don't want to understand it. And I said, this is why, again, this all comes back to fanboyism. And I'm a huge Westbrook fan. But anyway, what I cannot stand is the disrespect that he gets when it comes to these fans. We talk about the time that he got middle fingered on an and one when he played against these Sixers a few years ago when he was with the Thunder back in 2017. Then you have the incident in Utah when a guy was throwing racial slurs while he was icing his knee on the bench. Then dudes are saying, "Oh well, it's not. Oh, it's popcorn. It's not that big of a deal. Like it doesn't matter if it's popcorn or whatever it is. The fact is, you decided to throw something at another player that was being disrespectful. So I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on the fan that ended up throwing the popcorn on Russell Westbrook and the fact that they decided not to show. Well, they did show the fan who threw it. But what are your guys' thoughts on? And then we'll get to Trae Young next. But what's your thoughts on how the fan treated Russell Westbrook by throwing popcorn right on top of him as he's headed back to the locker room to treat his ankle? Anybody can start. Doesn't matter who.
All right, I'll start. First of all, Russell is from LA, over here in Los Angeles. Born and raised in it. There's no tolerance when it comes to disrespect, especially when it comes of any other, especially even for us, like as far as black people over there, like if you put disrespect or put smut in the name, people is gonna be extremely aggressive. So you know what I mean? Russell just like acts like as natural as he is. Like when it comes to these fans putting disrespect, throwing popcorn, throwing fits, like, shoot, if I was a player, I would be frustrated, but I mean, obviously, I act in the same similar way. There's no way you could throw popcorn around my face. Okay, the middle fingers, all right, whatever. But like popcorn and also even like say some slurs in my face is just absolutely just no. There's no tolerance for that BS, man. It's like, nah. Even though, I'm not a Russell Westbrook hater, I do criticize his play. To me, the way he plays kind of remind me of LeBron James. Like all he cares about is just triple doubles, doing in big games, but doing in small teams or small games. When it comes to big games, he kind of shouts out. But the difference between him and LeBron, LeBron does more when it comes to his intelligence and also he strategically does super teams just in order to get a ring. But we will not concentrate on that. But like Russ has the absolute right to in order to feel like, yeah, man, like I feel disrespected by the way of like how people throwing popcorn, slurs, and a lot. And also, Lewis, no offense, I love New York. But New York has some of the most aggressive fans in basketball. You know what I mean? New York Knicks, dirty 90s. You know what I mean? When when it comes to defense, when it comes to all that, everyone knows about how away New York gets when it comes to basketball. You know, like I understand it. I even know people who's from New York who actually acts the same way. You know what I mean? Even though some of them, they don't really mean like that, but hey, man, in just casual matter, they do kind of somewhat feel disrespected. I'm like, damn, like every time I was talking to them, like casually, bro, why you had to sound this disrespectful? Like I didn't do anything, but hey, but yeah, like especially in the pandemic, like you guys already got the stadium. Why you guys have to ruin it by just throwing popcorn to the players? The pandemic is still not even ordered, but the NBA just say we want y'all to be in the stadium so we can get more money. We're trying to re-up right now, and one or few people screw it up for everybody else by throwing popcorn and putting racial slurs to it. You know, it's unfortunate, but I feel like that right now they should just like not allow people, unless of course they might, you know what I mean, unless they want to pay a certain amount of money, like 10, 15 grand just for a ticket or something, and allow people to, you know, not to be over there and just let certain people be over there. Maybe when it comes to the to certain sections of the stadium, and allow these players to play without no drama. You know what I mean? That's kind of unfortunate, but it's the truth. You know what I mean? The pandemic is still not over. We don't know how in the wintertime is going to be, especially if the next season is coming through, and if things have gotten worse. So we don't know, but like what Russ did is natural in my opinion. But yeah, that's my thoughts.
All right, man. We'll get to Trey Young next, but just wanted to get the Russell Westbrook's thoughts, man. Anthony L, go ahead, man.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man.
Yeah, we can.
We can hear you.
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Anthony L. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my whole take on the whole Westbrook situation was I really don't understand why that's still happening in 2021 out of all the incidents that we've had over the years. Especially we all know the mega incident, the Malice in the Palace. The NBA should have had this fix a long time ago. So it shouldn't even be an excuse, especially when we're still, as Sean mentioned, we're still dealing with a pandemic that a fan should even get that close to a player to where they could throw food at them or spit at them. Somebody ain't doing their job. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
And what good is having NBA security and having security at these arenas if they can't even do their job and prevent things like this from happening? We see how good Staples Center security is when it comes to incidents like these. We've never seen an incident like this go down at Staples Center because you know how their security is down there. They got them red jackets and they don't play. You know, they'll
Facts.
stop stuff like that before it even happened. You can't even run 2 steps down down the arena without Staples Center security tackling you before you even take your 3rd step. They'll have you tackled. So you know, somebody's not doing a job, and it always seems to happen at the same arenas. It's either Utah or Boston. It's one of them 2 arenas, or the Nick, or the Garden. You know, and it's embarrassing. I'm like, why? These are family events. These are events where you're coming to take your family, your loved ones, your children. You have young people there, kids there, older people, elderly people there. Like, why you gotta be a knucklehead? You spending all this money just so you can show up and get banned for life? I mean, what kind of enjoyment do you get out of doing something stupid just to get banned for life? Like, what does that accomplish? You know, I'm just not understanding that, you know. And as far as the players, these players are exercising excellent restraint because I know if they really wanted to, you know, they'll be up in them stands. They'll be up in them stands, and you know, somebody's just gonna have to catch a fade, you know. And you know, I said it before, you know, until the NBA, the only reason why these fans are that bold enough to do that is because they know that they're not going to let the players go up in the stands, but let the NBA allow the players to fight back and defend themselves without risk of getting punished. They would be on their best behavior. I guarantee you these fans would be on their best behavior if they knew that these players had the right to go up in there and defend themselves if they throw something at them or spit at them. But they cowards. They do that because they know the staff and all of the workers and the security is going to step in to hold them back. That's why they do cowardly acts like that, because they know that if the players was allowed to defend themselves, they'll get, you know, they'll get handled. They'll get handled and they'll get dealt with. I want to say what I really want to say, but you know, I'm trying to watch my language.
Right.
But you know, it's ridiculous. And Adam Silver, he needs to do something about this because it shouldn't even get to a point to where a fan is even allowed. Yes, they're doing something about it afterwards, but it needs to be something done to where this could be prevented so that it won't have to be any action taken afterwards. Because what if an object or something gets thrown at these players' eyes, or something happens to where they get injured by a thrown object? You know, you wouldn't want that if a player, especially if it's happening to a star player, has to miss time because some fan threw something crazy at one of the players. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't know. And any little small object, no matter what the case may be, even if it's something that they're getting from the concession stand, it can cause an injury if they're that close. So, it's the NBA just got to do a better job. We shouldn't even be talking about this in 2021. This should have been settled and handled after the whole Malice in the Palace. And it's a shame that we got to even discuss this in 2021. Out of all the incidents that the NBA has had in the past, we shouldn't even have this problem. And you know what? These fans should be grateful that the NBA is allowing them back into the arenas. Why would you take that opportunity for granted and mess that up just so you can go in there and be a knucklehead when last year you didn't even have that opportunity because of everything that was going on? So why would you mess that up and be a knucklehead? And some of these fans are grown adults. These are grown adults acting worse than the kids. You got kids that are acting more civilized than some of these adults. It's shameful. It's shameful, and people got to stop all of that. You come into the game to enjoy the game. Just sit down, drink your beer, eat your nachos, and enjoy the game. You can yell, you could cheer, you could scream, you can shout, but there's a certain line you just can't cross.
Mhm.
It's just, we got to use common sense here. There's a difference between rooting against the team you don't like and rooting for the team you do like. But when it gets to a point where objects is being thrown and you're spitting on people, in the middle of a pandemic, like that's crossing the line, you know. And I again, I commend the players for showing excellent restraint because it would have been a Ron Artest part two if that was me. That's pretty much all I got to say about
Oh,
that.
all right, hold on, Jay. Before and shout out to Anthony and Sean for the comments, obviously, and their thoughts. And Jay, we're gonna get to you in 1 second, but just real quick before we do that, I just want to say hello to the chat again. Shout out to Logan. Shout out to Jay. Shout out to Freddie Gee, who's not feeling well. He's been sick the last 2 weeks, man. Freddie, hope you feel better. You're actually gonna like about this next incident. Actually, it's involving your Atlanta Hawks. But a shout out to him. Shout out to CB. Shout out to Bodega Wi-Fi. Here's the thing. What I'm gonna say real quick. The thing is when it comes to that, yeah, security can't stop the fan, but my point is the fan should have never done it in the first place. Even if security can't stop the fan from doing it, Jay made a great point in the comment section. Personnel is going to have to get better in terms of when fans are in the seats. They're going to have to do a better job of having even security, like at least on certain parts of the arenas, to make sure that doesn't happen if it has to be near. So that's what's going to have to happen. So they're going to
And
have
that
to do something
sucks.
about it. So
And
they
that
have to do
sucks
something.
because sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay, Sean. Go ahead.
That sucks because like certain fans wants to have an autograph, or they wanted to like to greet their favorite players, and they can't even do that just because someone poured popcorn on them.
Exactly. All right, man. Jay, go ahead, bro. Floor's yours.
Yeah, man, just unfortunate what's going on with this situation, man. I'm just bagging what Anthony and what Sean said, man. This should never this should never happen in the first place. I don't know why these fans be hating on this guy Westbrook so much, man. Like, it's not even the fans, the media. Everybody taking shots at this guy. But I'm gonna talk about that another time. But as far as this was going on with these fans getting into it with players and stuff like that, I think the NBA should take a page of what, like, the NHL, how they do it. You know, the NHL, how they be having them tall glass shields in their arenas and stuff like that, so they can separate the players from the fans. Maybe the NBA should do it like that, man. And maybe you won't hear or see, you know what I'm saying, all this chaos going on between the player and the fan. Maybe that might work. Maybe they need to sit down and talk about that. The commissioner and the player association, like Chris Paul and the commissioner, need to sit down and talk about it, so you can make the arena a safer place. You know.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I was thinking about that, and the thing is that when you see the fans cheer or they make obscene gestures, at least that little protective wall is covering the fans from the players, so that way things don't get too serious because at least it's happening. And it's like, how are they gonna really climb that anyway because of that glass? There's really nothing for them to really stick their feet on unless they got some kind of type of Velcro that they could put on their shoes where they'd be able to climb over. So, Jay brings an interesting point. Let me just get real to the chat real quick. Shout out to Michael. He says, man, about the popcorn thing, somebody could have spit in the popcorn and Westbrook might have got sick over it. Exactly.
Fact.
How do you know that beer could have been spilled in that popcorn? How do you know that soda could have been spilled in that popcorn or water? And it's like it will fall on Westbrook. They're like, oh, it's just popcorn. Nah, man, something could have really happened. Who knows if there was something could have crawled into it, man, like a bug or something. Like you just don't know, like what's in that popcorn that would have happened. So, yeah, man. So that just happens. No problem, Anthony L. I got you, man, just in case. But so yeah, man. So like with the whole Westbrook thing, man, it's just I don't like the fact that he's getting disrespected like that because it's even gone beyond. It's crazy to me that Russell has probably had more incidents than anybody in the NBA, most likely, and it's just been him as being a target. And I think that's just not cool. No matter if you love or you hate Westbrook, him nor any other player should be getting treated the way that they have. Now, let me just switch on to the next topic now. As a Knicks fan, I'm disgusted at what happened at Madison Square Garden in Game 2. I'm really disgusted, and I'm speaking for myself because I'm not going to be speaking for all Knicks fans because I know all Knicks fans are not going to feel the same, but this is my perspective. Trae Young is a great player, great young player, 22 years old, doing big things for the Atlanta Hawks. I'm cheering against them, obviously, because they're the enemy right now because I'm going against them in the playoffs, and I want my Knicks to win, obviously. But what I can't stand is I don't care if Trae Young is the opponent. You respect your opponent no matter how much you don't. You find a dislike or something, but again, that's all the competitive nature of the game of basketball or any sport, whatever you're playing when it comes to teams or individuals going against one another. It's about respect. Well, apparently the fan of the Knicks, of one of the fans of the Knicks, supposedly wearing a Julius Randle shirt, decided to be disrespectful. And by 50 Cent, where him and his girl, Cuban Link, was sitting right there courtside, decides to try to take a cheap shot and try to spit right in Trae Young's ear, right by with Trae Young. And it actually went past Cuban Link because she actually decided to make a hitch because she felt something was pretty much, almost pretty much hit her around there. And like I said, as a Knicks fan, I'm just not okay with that because that's just basically saying, so basically we got COVID testing, guys get vaccinated for this to happen. So you got fully vaccinated. Oh, it's great. The NBA, they got fans in the arena for this to happen so that you allow fans once again to get disrespectful to players. Is that what you guys got fans in the arena for? Is the NBA that desperate for money and then you allow this to happen? Like what Anthony L., Sean, and Jay are basically saying, this should not be happening in arenas. You would have thought you would have learned from Malice in the Palace. You know how horrific Malice in the Palace was? Did you see young children had to look and see grown men having to fight for their lives with NBA fans in the stands? And all this started because of a hard foul by Ron Artest with Ben Wallace? Because that's how it originally started.
Right.
And I remember that what people did not know was Ben Wallace's, his mother or his grandmother had passed away a couple of days before that game. And he shouldn't have played that game because he was not in the right frame of mind. And I remember the Pacers, they were killing the Pistons in that game. And that was the 04-05 season.
Yeah.
And what happened after that? A beer spills and then an all-out brawl. It was a fight for survival after that. The league had changed. The league was changing. But the thing is, you would think that the league have changed. Yeah, it's changed with some of the rule changes, some of the 3-point. Obviously, it's a 3-point era. But what hasn't changed has been the disrespect of fans towards players, and the fact that fans are too into their team and act like casual fans, and they're so in love, they take it personal when it comes to opponents. I can't tell you probably the ultimate disrespect is getting spit on. It's one thing to get thrown popcorn at you, and I find that disrespectful. But you cross that line and you decide to spit at somebody, I'm not okay with that. And as a Knicks fan, I'm embarrassed. Well, the Knicks fans were going crazy after the Knicks made that huge run in the third quarter coming back. Game 2, I'm all excited, and then that happens. It was hard for me. And I put the post up, celebrating the victory, but I had a hard time with that because all I could think about was an opposing player getting spit on like them. That's personal. Forget about the game. It's personal. And I was not okay. And I was not okay with that at all. I'm ashamed to be a Knicks fan that this kind of stuff is still happening in the NBA. Don't matter what you feel about Trae Young. He did not deserve that at all. He didn't deserve that. And it's kind of fitting right now because we're down 3-1 to Atlanta. And I got to say, I want to say real quick, Freddie, shout out to your Atlanta Hawks. You guys through the first 4 games have shown you guys are the better team. You guys are the better team. If you look at Atlanta, they're more talented than we are. When you look at the way they've played in these first 4 games, they're more talented than we are. They have more shooting on the floor than we do. They really do. You can see it. We can't shoot it. We can't shoot a lick. Julius Randle, even though he won Most Improved Player, he shows his lack of IQ. You can just see it. RJ Barrett is showing me that he's got the nerves. Derrick Rose playing all these minutes. It's taking a toll. Again, shout out to Ice Trader Gang. I make no excuses. You hear me saying the Quavo, Ice Trader Gang. He's been killing us all series. We can't stop him on the pick and roll. We keep allowing him get into the middle. And first of all, Gallinari came in and scored 21 points when he's been struggling in this series. So that doesn't help. If you get 2 other guys scoring 20 points, that's a lot to overcome. When Randall has been terrible, RJ Barrett's been terrible. John Collins had only averaged 8 points in the first 3 games of this series. He gave you 22 points today. Gallinari gave you 21. If you're going to get 20 plus from 2 guys to complement with Trae Young's 27, we got no chance. No chance. Especially if we can't shoot the basketball. Especially if we can't shoot. Okay? So, like I said, much respect to Freddie's Atlanta Hawks. You guys are the better team. I think we're going to win Game 5 off of emotion, off of desperation. So, I'm expecting the Garden to be loud and crazy. I mean, I guess the Hawks could pull it off in 5. I mean, y'all already beat us in our building in Game 1. I mean, we could have won Game 1, but that was the defense's fault, letting Trae Young get into the cup with that floater. But, even if we win Game 5, we're gonna lose Game 6. So, and other way, we got to give Nate McMillan credit. I know Nate McMillan, again, he has a tendency in late in games make bad adjustments, and he doesn't always usually have counters. But I will say this: he did a very good job with this Hawks team. They won 27 out of 38 when he took over. Their defense looks a lot better against us, and right now they're deep. They can shoot threes. We can't. So when you mix all of that stuff up, it shows you we got to get better shooters. I hate to say it, but we got to get rid of Julius Randle. The 24, 10, and 5, it sounds all nice, but I just say right here, you can frustrate him, and IQ-wise, I just don't like him on my team. I don't. I told you, I'm a Knicks fan at heart, but I'm a realist too.
Let me say this about Nate. Let me say, oh, my bad.
Go ahead, Jay, real quick. Go ahead.
Let me say this about Nate McMillan. Everybody was talking about how he couldn't coach and all that BS when he was with the Indiana Pacers. But look what he's doing now for the Atlanta Hawks. I already said he's in a better situation. The Atlanta Hawks they way more talented than that Indiana Pacers team will ever be. And they showing you in these playoffs right now, the New York Knicks have no answers for this team. RJ Barrett has no impact on the game of basketball. I've been saying this. He don't have no impact. He has no impact. And old boy Julius Randle, yeah, he having a good season. He deserved that award, the most improved player. He deserved it. But he has flaws in his game, and you see it in these playoffs. He's getting exposed. And maybe he's not that guy as people thought he was this season.
Unfortunately, he might have a case.
Yeah. No, and like I said before, again, listen, Randall did great in the regular season and all that, but you could tell he's not ready for the playoffs. And he said himself that it's not that he's not ready, it's just he's got to play better. Listen, but the problem is, I said this before, The Knicks should have put him in position to where he could score easy baskets. And in the half court, what you should have done, Anthony L will be back. It's just his battery right now, but he'll be back.
Okay.
What I said before was, I said you need to put him in the half court. You need to put him in positions where he can face up when he goes one-on-one. The Knicks have not done that all series. They've allowed him to – they keep letting him catch the ball on the perimeter, and then when the shot clock goes down, he's trying to dribble, trying to create a shot. That ain't going to work in the playoffs, buddy. It's not going to work in the playoffs. It's just not. It's just not. But he'll be better. Hopefully this is a learning experience, but like I said, we need to get better shooting, and obviously we need some play at the. Hopefully Emmanuel quickly develops and all that. But let's get back on the topic. What do you guys think about the Trae Young spitting incident that happened in Game 2 at Madison Square Garden, man? And it's just flat out disgusting, and I'm ashamed to be a Knicks fan that happened. And like I said, my apologies to Trae Young. I'm speaking as a Knicks fan. That's pathetic how. Like, in the midst of a game, people can be disrespectful like that you guys take the game that seriously when it's like you got a life to live after the game. It's like you guys are not going on the court, do anything like that. And even then, so it's still that's just showing a lack of respect to your opponent, man. But I just want to get you guys' thoughts quick on the Trae Young spitting incident.
It's just disgusting, man. That should have never happened, man. Like, at the end of the day, it's just a game. I don't know why these fans be all so hurting their feelings, man, over an opponent. Like, it's disgusting, it's disgraceful, and it shouldn't be tolerated. And if I'm maybe a Malice in the Palace needs to happen again, man, so these fans will understand. They need, maybe that might need to happen again, just so they can finally get it, because they're not comprehending, man. They don't get it. They think because they know the rules, they know the protocols, they know they can do this crap because they know the players, they don't have the ability, to fight back. But maybe that Malice in the Palace needs to happen. And as a I know, Lou, I know you don't speak for everybody in New York. I know you're speaking for you, but the New York fan base, man, that's disgusting, man. I know y'all better than that, man. That was uncalled for. That was, man. That's all I gotta say about that, man. That's crazy.
Like I said before, New York fans, New Yorkers, period. I'm not saying every New Yorker acts like that, but I know that especially with the OGs, they do act like that. They are one of those types that if they don't like you, they'll spit the shit out of you. No offense. And and talking trash when you didn't even do nothing to them. Not saying that everyone does it, but I wish there's another Malice in the Palace, but unfortunately, especially in today's era, people are soft. They are incredibly soft. Like, they'll sue you if you try to fist fight them, and that's just facts. Like, everybody, especially from the fans, including even some of these players, are soft as pillows. And don't even, like, what is the point? Now, Russell, or actually Trae, he probably just ignored and also, like, just getting into the game, which, that takes a lot of strength. But unfortunately, he knows that if he actually punched that fan, that guy probably is one of those 6-figure, 7-figure guys that actually got into the front row. And he probably could get some profit by suing him for punching the shit out of him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's unfortunate. And also, he even did that to 50 Cent in front of 50 Cent too. So that proves that either he's on some higher rank as far as of his dollar bracket, or he just some ignorant racist bastard. But to be honest with you, it is what it is. Again, to be honest with you, I don't like, even though I am from this generation, I am like a early Gen Zer, I do believe most people should deserve certain shit if they disrespect, no matter what. But again, people are too soft. They know damn well that they're gonna try to make themselves into the victim by putting themselves in the internet and et cetera, et cetera. So I mean, all I'm just gonna say is that the NBA should just like move the front seats like back, like way back, to the point that they're not gonna touch no players. You guys could watch. It's still the front seats, but it's not the actual front seats. Like probably in the middle. Yeah, probably in the middle of the rows, like the middle rows.
Mm-hmm.
You could sit over there. But as far as the front, no more front seats. You can be sitting just like every other commentator over here. Rich or not.
Right.
But yeah, that's my thoughts.
All right, man. Before we get to the meat and potatoes of this live stream, CB Logic says 21 mil. Yeah, he got a 3-year, $63 million contract. I still say though, gonna have to trade it, man. I'm sorry. So like I said with Randall, like I said, great year. The Knicks overachieved this year. As a matter of fact, we weren't even supposed to be a playoff team entering this season. Honestly, we weren't supposed to be a playoff team, so we actually way overachieved this year. So yeah, no. At the end of the day, look, expectation wise, we weren't. Nobody saw us as a playoff team this year, and we had our first 40-win season in a long time. So no, so it's all good. So much respect. To having a great season. It's just we got to do some things to be better next year. That's for sure. Improvement and obviously some additions and distractions, right? But like Sean said, man, it's true. And like I said before, I know there are Knicks fans who are not like this. As a fellow New Yorker, I'm telling you right now, I've loved my Knicks from the days of Patrick Ewing, Latrell Sprewell, Allen Houston, Anthony Mason, Charles Oakley, go down the line, John Starks. Those are my guys. Those are my guys forever. And why? I bleed that orange and blue. But at the same time, I don't condone the actions of fans because they want to take the game too personally because they want to make sure that they want to let you know how much I don't like you, and they do it in such a disrespectful way. Like I said, Malice in the Palace happened damn near 17 years ago, and we still haven't learned. That's a problem. That's a big problem. And that the fact that fans, they get kicked out, and they're okay. It's the whole, they say they, banned for life, little slap on the wrist or something. I mean, it might get to the point that players might have to start doing these lawsuits because it's like Sean said. If a player was supposed to go into the stands, if they got disrespected and they get physical with their fan, they're going to look at the player because then the fan's like, oh, that's a lawsuit. I could charge a lawsuit and try to make profit off of that because the player decided to get physical with me, right? So that's what they do. Like some of these fans, they kind of get protected. So it depends on who it is. But, I mean, like I said, they got to do more than just throw that fan out. I mean, it's like, they're going to have to start because the thing is, even if you ban them from that arena, what's not to say if they happen to move to another state and they go to another arena and they're allowed to do that thing.
Right.
That's 100% true.
Because
that's 100% true.
Those got to
go to the away
prosecuted. They should get prosecuted, man, for that.
Like that's not okay because they're like, oh, you know what? I'm not. They're like, well, you know what? I don't have to come here if they're not gonna let me come back because of this. I said, let me just move and go probably to another state. Dude's got to think about that. I'm telling you, dude's got to think about that. So,
but before we go to the other one, the other topic,
go ahead.
Me personally, I do wish I do wish that Randall's get another chance next season. If he's not going to be able to go towards like the Eastern Conference Finals, then yeah, trade him. But I think that next season he probably might improve. In my personal opinion, Randall's season is actually pretty impressive, especially for seeing the Knicks and seeing how hyped the Knicks fans are. You know what I mean? Even though I do kind of like made some funny jokes about the Knicks, saying that shit, the Knicks is like the Clippers of the East. But like, I'm really sincere that like next year the Knicks probably going to do better things, and I think Randall's going to able to amplify his game up. But that's me.
Yeah, no problem. The way I see it is that right now, to me, Randall is a Robin's Robin. That's just my personal opinion for when I watch him play. So, like, if he's going to compete in the East, you got to get two other pieces around him, in my personal opinion. Two better players around him. Because, like I said, Randall may have improved, again, and look, the Knicks, they exceeded expectations. We was as G Money says in the chat, we was only supposed to win 22 games coming into this season. But again, from the Four Letter Network, I don't really trust those guys because they could pretty much say anything, and y'all know who I'm talking about. But my point is that again, we weren't expected to do much this year, and remember, Derrick Rose wasn't even on our team at the start of the season. So for us to be able to, get him in a trade, and we win 41 games, we get hot. It's a successful season, despite the fact that in terms of playoff success, it was obviously kind of pretty much a failure. But Julius Randle to me is a number 3 option. He's not a number 2 in my opinion. He's just not. I don't see it. 24, 10, and 5 is great as a number 1 option, but you have to also remember something. This is a wings league. So Randle as your power forward leading your team as the best player to a championship, that's not gonna happen. It's not. That's why if you understand the NBA, you got to look at Anthony Davis. There's a reason why he's with LeBron with the Lakers right now. It's because your big men at one time were the best players on championship teams. That's not the case in this era now. It's about the 2s and 3s, especially the 3s, in today's NBA. That's why I said that Rondo is a number 2 or number.
He used to be about the bigs, but who changed that norm? A guy that used to play for the Pistons named Isaiah Thomas. He shows you can win without a dominant big man.
Isaiah Thomas and Michael Jordan, 1 and 2. Isaiah being the first, Jordan the second. It was those 2 guys that changed it. True. Isaiah being a point guard, that's saying that you could win with winning with 3 guards. You could win with 3 guards, and you could win with a stretch 5 and Bill Laimbeer.
Right.
And then with Jordan, leading scorer, can win a championship as a leading scorer. He changed all that. So Isaiah and Jordan were the 2. You could actually say backcourt because Isaiah point guard, Jordan 2 guard. As backcourt, these were the first 2 guys that changed the paradigm on winning championships, that you don't need to win through a big. You can win it with guards. That's what they did. That's what both of these guys did as leaders of their team. So, all right, guys, we here for the meat and potatoes. Let me go into the chat before we get started on this because, okay, Anthony L says he's back. He's just going to be back in a few minutes, no doubt. Can't wait to see you back. Bodega Wi-Fi, shout out to him. He says there's Trey's arrogance contributed to this, man. Every player don't get spin on. Oh, no, yeah. I mean, Trey is kind of channeling his inner Reggie Miller somewhat, as you can see. He was doing that. So he was saying how the fans got real quiet after he scored that go-ahead bucket. I remember. Randle has to figure out double teams. I don't think he's really ever going to figure that out, in my opinion. That's why I said that you need other guys around him. I just don't see it as a number 1 guy. I don't.
Right. His IQ ain't there either.
No,
it's not there.
He lacks it.
Yeah.
Bodega says I enjoyed the small ball lineup. Yeah, I mean, small ball lineups works when you go small on small, and again, with the matchups, it's a matter of, man, if a team goes big, I mean, are you going to be able to make sure one, you got to be able to make your shots against a big lineup because it's going to be hard to get stuff at the rim, and you got to make sure that you set place where you can space the floor because that paint is going to be clogged. So if you go against a big team, you want that floor spaced out. That opens driving lanes. So that's the key at that.
Facts.
Jay says Tibbs need coaches for that. He's the defensive version of MDA. Oh, Mike D'Antoni. Y'all already know how I feel about Pringle Man Tony. Better coach, but these coaches expect more in their players in the areas that coaches lack in, man. It's true because with Tibbs, like I said, he's not an offensive guy. He's about running guys on the defensive end. It's defense first with him.
Right.
So, all right, man. So let me just wait till these notifications go out the way right here on my computer. Okay, there we go. And Logan says he's getting hated because he's drawing those fouls. Oh, of course. I mean, Trae Young gets to the line, 8 times a game? That's how he did in the regular season. All right, real quick, Michael says if the Lakers don't win it all this year, if I'm the Lakers, unless I get a big free agent like Kawhi, I'm trading LeBron to Brooklyn and trading AD, and I'm starting to.
Why you want to trade LeBron to Brooklyn when they get? Man, I'm done. Man.
Hold on.
I'm not gonna go into this. We're talking about another person that I actually know I don't really like. I can actually admit that he is a bust, even though he's doing good things. So let's get to it.
Yeah, that means you traded LeBron for Kevin Durant, but that ain't happening. Next, but shout out to Michael. All right, man. So we get into the meat and the bones of the topic, man. We talking about obviously Kwame Brown has gone full blown Batista out here. The mainstream media has unleashed the animal because he walks alone. That's right, Kwame Brown.
Shaking them ropes.
And let me say this real quick, man. People are really missing the message that he's saying, because this is why I waited nearly a week and a half and I watched other people comment and use his content for his videos. Again, shout out to Kwame Brown, by the way. But the reason I waited, because I was gonna wait and see if people were gonna jump on with what Kwame was doing, right? So Sean, I'm gonna start with you because I'm gonna save my comments. I'm gonna make sure that I listen to what everybody's got to say.
I know about Kwame Brown because he was a part of my team.
Right. Okay. So hold on. Like I said, I'm gonna hold off and I'm gonna listen to all of y'all speak. Shout out to Omar Page in the chat. So again, I'm gonna listen to what Sean's got to say, and then I'm gonna listen to what Jay's got to say, and then if Anthony L comes back, I can't wait to what he's got to say. But then I'm gonna chime in because, like I said, I saved everything, I watched everything, and I came prepared. So Sean, the floor is yours. Go ahead, unleash. Shout out to Doug Bance in the building, man.
Oof. All right, shit. First off, Kwame, for all the years you have been in my Laker team, shit, it just really just gave me memories back in like 2004, 2005, 06, even when you screw up moving the playoffs. I remember those days, Kwame. But Kwame ranting about the NBA media and also even the media in general, especially including the Breakfast Club, where Sean made the God's gossiping ass, but is a necessary evil. Now, one thing that Kwame lies about is that he said he did not take, like, the reason why he rants a lot because he's trying to prove he doesn't take his basketball career personally, which that's a damn lie. Yeah, you was a bust. The heck? I saw you score about 6 points a game nearly every single game. And then the only time you ever score over 20 points is when you need to, just before they put you in the G League. Yeah, we are, like, everyone makes fun of you, Kwame. Of course. Shit, at least I can admit, I'm not one of these pocket watching social media mofos out here just like, Kwame has a bigger message. It's far bigger than basketball and this and that. I understand the message, but stop acting like this guy was like an underrated player that people never really look at, and he scored over 20, 30 points a game. He wasn't. The dude pretty much was mediocre from the jump. Like, Michael Jordan tried to help him. Even though, yeah, Michael Jordan is an asshole when it comes to how you look at players. Shit. I mean, regardless of how healthy he is, I mean, he's Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? The dude's he's gonna dog you out like the bitch you are if you act like one. But like, shit, Kobe Bryant actually tried to even give you some confidence, even though you actually wasted his prime for over 3 years, that he could actually won more championships if you would take it serious. I think the biggest thing about why Kwame has been looked upon is that he should not even go to the NBA. He should have stick with college first. If he was in college, he would have never been known to be a bust, in my personal opinion. But, you know what I mean? All he just said, like, man, I just go to the NBA so I can get over about 61 million, 65 million. I actually help my family. I mean, that's good, Kwame. You help your own family. Everyone is going to help their own family if they actually make millions of dollars. But here's the thing, though. You're not the only bust that actually made $1 million in the NBA. There's a lot of terrible to average players that actually made over millions of dollars. Shit, the NBA have wasted so much millions to these players. I thought they probably will get bankrupt. But shit, as long as business is booming, they guess, hey, here's as much money you can. We'll we'll throw money at you like it's some strip club and shit. But yeah, like, when it comes to Kwame, when it comes to his ranting, it is a double-edged sword. Yeah, certain things he said is right, which I agree with, but he needs to stop lying saying that it's not because of basketball. And then when he was like roasted the hell out of us, Stacks and Matt Barnes, and also even putting it personally, it was he was the first one to actually start personal. Because when I was watching the interview with Jeannie Buss, they were all talking about his basketball skills, more so than just about him being a loser or whatever. They never even call him that. So it was personal. But in the same time, though, I do agree with Kwame Brown when it comes to defending himself, even to the point of calling out the media. The media has been extremely biased, has been kind of destroying basketball for years, despite, despite all the things, occurring. They're one of the reasons why basketball sucks. It sucks. Like, okay, you guys don't really talk about the lesser teams that actually put in more effort than the big teams. You guys don't even concentrate on players that, that actually put more effort. It doesn't have to be a superstar. It doesn't have to be LeBron James. Oh my gosh. LeBron James. The word that the media only knows. LeBron James. Those two words. They know it since they were babies. LeBron freaking James. Every single time. I'm like, damn, you guys talk about LeBron James all the time. Even he actually called out. So I feel like that his rants is both a good and a bad. The good thing is the media does deserve to get called out, especially including like black talent. But at the same time with Kwame, who's the messenger, he feel like he should be out of being made fun of because of his network, which most NBA fans don't give a fuck about your network. Excuse my language. We don't pocket watch. We only look at you for your basketball accomplishments, your accolades, your games. No one cares about how much money you got. I get it. You know what I mean? It's great to see a black man making millions. I love seeing more black men making more millions. I love every single African making more millions. But I'm damn sure not going to kiss your ass just because you make millions, just because of how much you bust or even make an ass of yourself on the court. Hell no. No. I'm not doing that. That's one thing for sure. I'm not one of these ass-kissing motherfuckers that'll be just trying to say, oh, yeah, Kwame, yeah, he should be exempt because, like, shoot, that's not a bust he made about 61, 65 million. That's only for broke people to act like that. But, yeah, that's all I got to say about Kwame. You know what I mean? Shit, one side, he's doing certain justice when it comes to his rants. The other side is he's angry because of him being a bust. And also, Luke Walton was worse than you, and he does better moments than you. The fuck is that? All right, that's enough. I gotta say about that.
All right, Jay Jeff, go ahead because I'm about to unleash, man. Because I told you I gather some crazy facts that's gonna debunk a lot of this stuff. But go ahead, Jay.
I ain't gonna take long for me, man. I only got a few things I want to say about this situation. First of all, I'm gonna say about Kwame Brown. He was never a bust. For somebody that played 12 years, made over $63 million, I can't call that player a bust, man. Somebody like Anthony Bennett, he was a bust. A guy named Robert Swift, he was a bust. So a lot of bust player, Anna Morrison, he was a bust. Them guys are busts. But that guy, Kwame Brown, he's not a bust. He just never reached his potential as a number one draft pick. I can say that. He never reached his potential. But I can't say he was a bust because he played 12 years. But anyway, I'm going to say this. I'm just sick and tired of black people always bringing down other black people, man. I hate that, especially when they're successful. Stephen A. Smith made a career off of that bullshit. And it just get on my nerves, man, when I see this all the time. It's nerve-wracking, man. I hate seeing that. We always want to tear each other down, man, and it needs to stop. You don't see these other races doing that. But we the only ones that do this on a consistent basis, man. We gotta get better. We gotta do better, man. For real. That's all I gotta say about it. But go ahead, Big Lou. It's all you now.
Oh man, I was waiting to cook on this, man, because I'm pretty much gonna say how everything started, and I can see people in the chat are, saying this stuff. All right, let me break this down before we get started. Listen, everybody knows, man, that obviously Kwame was a number one pick for the Wizards in 2001, straight out of high school. He was the first. Let me make this very clear. He was the first. He was the first he was the first high school player ever in NBA history to go number one. All these other guys that came out of high school, Moses Malone and Kevin Garnett, Kobe, before LeBron, Kwame was the first ever one to go number one. Let's make that very clear. That's number one. Number two, I don't think people really know this story. Michael Jordan never wanted Kwame Brown. I don't think people know about that story. He never wanted Kwame. He ended up being number one. He wanted to trade Kwame for Elton Brand. I don't know if people know about this, but Jordan did originally.
I heard that story.
Jordan and A. Poland did not want Kwame Brown. He was originally supposed to be traded for Elton Brand. Because the trade fell through, they had no choice but to draft. Well, actually, no, I can't say that. They could have drafted other guys, but they chose to choose Kwame because I guess he was the best player at that time, drafted as the number one pick. Now, the thing that you got to understand is you're talking about Michael Jordan. Yes, he's 39 years old, but you got to understand Michael's personality. You got to understand who also came back to coach. We're talking about Doug Collins, and we know the dynamic of Doug Collins and Michael Jordan to a 17-year-old kid turned 18 coming into the NBA. You know what their expectations are, especially Michael Jordan. Okay? Right. I'm going to say this again. Jordan was not supposed to come back. He only came back if he was promised ownership of the team, especially if Abe Poland said, if you can put asses in those seats at the Washington Wizards arena, I would give you part ownership. We know how that turned out. Jordan got fired. He got kicked out and Jordan retired. Okay? So my thing is Kwame Brown in his Wizard years, that was not great because his teammates that were there, Ethan Thomas and Chris Whitney, they actually stuck up for Kwame. They were saying that Kwame was actually doing good in the practice. Now, again, there's context to that, obviously, so I'm going to get to that first. But I'm basically saying Jordan was ripping him apart in practice. And you know how Jordan is when it comes to his style of coaching. It does not work for everybody. It may work for some players, but it's not going to work with everybody. And the thing is, you're talking to a 17, 18-year-old kid, expecting him to be this great, like so early with the Wizards. And you got to remember, Kwame was not having that much impact in his early years with the Wizards. And that 2002 team with Richard Hamilton, they won what? They were at one point 26-21, and that was really with Kwame Brown not even doing that much. So then if you are able to mold Kwame into a better player, who knows what they could have been. But that's not what happened. And then you even had guys like Jerry Stackhouse. I got my issues with Jerry Stackhouse, but then even he talked about how bad it was with even playing with Jordan. But we know your career wasn't, he made an all-star team. And again, kudos to Stackhouse. But what did you do the rest of your career? Okay. Like, stop it. Stop. You see, this is what I'm basically talking about. Okay. So you could blame MJ for Washington. That's fine. But you had other stops. Remember, you made an all-star team with Detroit before you went to Washington. Okay, so that doesn't make any damn sense. So Stackhouse using that as an excuse. I'm not saying that he's not wrong because, again, you look at Kwame with his experience. You look at some of the other players. You look at Gilbert Arenas. Speaking of Gilbert Arenas, he was on the All the Smoke podcast, right, with Captain Jack and Matt Barnes, two NBA players that talk a lot of crap, but they were role players. Gilbert Arenas was actually defending Kwame and talking about how Michael Jordan's personality is. He was actually defending Kwame. The thing with Matt Barnes is he didn't choose one time to disrespect Kwame Brown. He did it 2 times. And the thing that I'm trying to understand is everybody knows that Kwame was not a great NBA player. Everybody knows that. Maybe the young generation average fan doesn't know that, but everybody pretty much knew that Kwame was not a great NBA player. Yeah. He was good. But you're not going to sit here and tell me that a guy plays 12 years and then all of a sudden tell me that he's a bust. It just not. I don't see it, especially with the money he was able to make in the NBA. Maybe Kwame wasn't as dedicated to his craft as he should have been, because the thing is, I can understand where you're coming from, Sean, because the thing is, he went to a lot of teams and he had opportunities to get better, and he really didn't. At the same time, though, you can't call yourself a bust neither. You can't be called a bust neither, because you know why I say that is because if he was being acquired by all these teams, don't you think that Kwame would have been out the league by then if he was considered an NBA bust? I mean, because take a look at Anthony Bennett. How long did he last? And in the NBA, that draft class was weak in the one that he was in, and he was gone within 3 to 4 years. You look at take a look at Darko Milicic. He was selected ahead of Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. How did his career turn out? You look at Andrea Bargnani. I can't stand him because he was a number 1 pick and he was on my New York Knicks. What did he do in his career? Okay. So the thing is, you could honestly go on and on. And Adam Morrison, how long did his career last? And who drafted him? Michael Jordan, right?
Yep, back.
Adam Morrison was on the Lakers too.
Yeah, he won 2 championships, but he didn't contribute.
He was with the Charlotte Wildcats first. That was his first team.
Yeah, that was his first team. He was a number 3 pick.
Yep.
He was in the draft with JJ Redick. And how about Hashim Thabit? You know, ever heard of that guy? Number 3 pick.
Georgetown.
They were all impressed with his defensive skills, and they were saying, "Oh, he could be, you know, the next great, you know, big man." They were comparing him to Hakeem Olajuwon. They were comparing him to Dikembe Mutombo. They say he could get better offensively. He even said that he really didn't start playing organized basketball until late in his high school career. And what happened with him? He was gone. He really didn't have much of an impact. And he was drafted by who? Memphis?
Yep.
Went to OKC. Didn't do anything. So my point is that there's been many more guys who have done way less than Kwame Brown in their NBA careers. But what I can't stand is Matt Barnes decided to get slick. This is why, again, your boy Lewis had to pull out the receipts. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen. Your boy had to pull out the receipts. Let's go to my trusty old phone right here, the Galaxy Note 10, and let's go into my bank. Back in 2008, right? The famous Kwame Brown, Mr. Stephen A. Smith, who I call Stephen A. Snitch because he's nothing but a clown.
Right.
And they're like, why am I calling that guy a clown? I'm going to tell you why in a second. Lakers Grizzlies trade 2008. Remember, because Sean, obviously Kwame Brown was on the Lakers for, you know, those 2.5 seasons, right? Lakers get Pau Gasol and a 2nd-round pick for 2010. The Grizzlies get Javaris Crittenton, 2 first-round picks, Aaron McKee, who ended up retiring, and the rights to Marc Gasol. And Kwame Brown was in that trade. Matt Barnes decided to get slick and even tap Captain Jack on the side, saying it was a one-man trade. So honestly, if you want to really blame this tirade that Kwame Brown has had, you got to thank Matt Barnes for this entertainment, because Kwame Brown has been actually, before he really got on this YouTube thing, but people don't understand, he had been doing videos on Facebook. That's another thing that people don't know. And he's been talking a lot about life and pretty much how to educate yourself and honestly do well in life as a black man in this, you know, in this world we call America, and obviously on planet Earth. But he had been talking for about a year on Facebook before he even got on the YouTube. He was planning on getting on YouTube and all that. But you have to blame Matt Barnes for deciding to get personal, because, again, it's not about basketball. Everybody knows pretty much that Kwame was not a great NBA player. But we can't sit here and say he wasn't good, because there have been worse busts than Kwame Brown. Trust me, worse.
I'm not saying that he's the worst. I'm not saying he's the worst.
No, here's the thing. Nobody's saying that he was the worst. But the problem is that you got guys like Stephen A. Smith and Matt Barnes acting like he was the worst. Matt Barnes is saying, oh, don't blame me. Blame Michael Jordan for choosing you, number 1. Stephen A. Smith had the nerve to go on college campuses and talk about how much of a bust Kwame Brown is. Jalen Rose defended him on Cold Pizza, a.k.a. First Take, before it was, and talking about, and him and Skip were talking about, Skip was like, well, you know, Kwame, you know, he's relatively a bust. Kwame did not live up to number 1 pick expectations. But a guy who played 12 years in the NBA, lasted longer than a lot of other guys who were bust and makes over 60. See, this is why I'm exposing Matt Barnes right now. Matt Barnes played 14 years in the NBA. 14 years. You know how many teams he played for? 11 in
A
14
lot.
years.
Yeah.
Number one.
He played for a bunch, bro.
He was a journeyman. Kwame Brown, and you know how much money he made in his NBA career? $35 million. How do you play 2 more years than Kwame Brown and you made $30 million less than Kwame Brown in your NBA career? But Matt Barnes would come and talk to you like if he was an all-star. Dude.
Right. He's trash.
You were a role player. And by the way, they're like, oh, well, Matt Barnes, he won an NBA championship. He was on the 2017 Warriors, and they just signed you because Kevin Durant got hurt. They needed an extra body.
Right.
He didn't contribute to that team. The one thing that I will give Matt Barnes credit for is what he did on the We Believe Warriors team with Steven Jackson and what he did with Baron Davis and those boys that knocked off the Mavericks in the playoffs. But Steven Jackson also is another one because, he won a championship with the Spurs, but to this day, he still is mad at Popovich because he's trying to convince himself that he was better than Manu Ginobili. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Manu Ginobili's international career trumps his career out the water. And then even if you include his NBA career, Manu made an All-NBA third team. Manu Ginobili was a 6th man of the year. Manu Ginobili was a 2-time All-Star. Did Steven Jackson ever make an All-Star team?
I think he did one time. I think he was a one-time All-Star. I'm not even sure about that. I have to look that up.
Steven Jackson was an All-Star. Well,
what year?
He was a one-time All-Star. I think he got that when he was with Charlotte, the Charlotte Bobcats.
Let me see. I mean, if he was an All-Star, then okay. But even at then, you can't compare yourself to Manu Ginobili. And I said Manu Ginobili's international career trumps.
He's not no All-Star.
He never made an All-Star team? Okay.
He never,
No, he won a championship by 2003 with the Spurs.
Right.
And
I know about that. Yeah.
So look, you go to basketballreference.com, ladies and gentlemen. Steven Jackson, I look at his career. The only thing he has as an accolade is a 2003 NBA championship with San Antonio. He played for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He played for 8 teams.
He's a journeyman too. Yeah.
Steven Jackson will have you thinking that he's better. He's better than Manu Ginobili. Manu Ginobili was a 2-time All-Star at the very least. See, this is my
never better than Manu Ginobili.
Never.
He's pretty much.
Ginobili should have been to the All-Star game more than twice. He should have been like a 4 or 5-time All-Star.
And that's my point. That's how good Manu Ginobili was.
Yeah.
That's how good Manu Ginobili. Manu Ginobili may have been a role player, but again, Manu was no scrub at any point. Okay, so this is what I'm saying.
Manu was a role player. He was never a role player. He's pretty much like the 6th man, while being the 6th guy. No. If that makes sense.
No. I'm saying that I'm talking about in terms of Manu had a role, but I'm just saying like it wasn't as big as it was. But I'm telling you right now, Manu has game. Are you kidding me? Manu has game.
I know. Like I know.
I mean, he's a 2-time All-Star for a reason. I mean, the guy is a legit All-Star.
I think it was times I thought he was the second best 2 guard in the Western Conference. You know what I'm saying? I know Kobe was number 1, but I thought he was right behind him.
See, this is my thing. And this is my thing with Steven Jackson also. Wasn't Steven Jackson one of those? And listen, I know people could take it whatever, but Steven Jackson was in that infamous Malice at the Palace. If people forget, he was with those Indiana Pacers that happened on that infamous brawl. People could say
he was a part of that Miles.
He could talk about he could talk about protecting Ron Artest all the one, but that dude was out there punching. And I get it. A part of it was the defense and all that, but again, that's fine. But anyway, moving on to what I was saying. My point is, Steven Jackson. Oh, by the way, then Charlemagne the guy decides to chip in and stick his nose in this business where it doesn't belong. But let's face it. He
two-tone Charlemagne. Go ahead.
This dude out here decides to stick his nose where it don't belong. But remember, he also contributes to that All the Smoke podcast, and he has a close relationship with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. And Showtime is a subsidiary of CBS. I don't know if people know about that, but anyway, he decides to chime in, and he decides to talk about Kwame's family. And I'm saying to myself, why are you talking about the man's family? What does that have anything to do with the fact that Matt Barnes tried to be slick and talk about how it's a one-man trade deciding to get personal with Kwame. This is what Kwame's talking about, and I'm going to get deeper into this as we continue to go along. So my point is, Matt Barnes decided to be slick when you wasn't really that great of an NBA player. You and Captain Jack were both journeymen in the league. Kwame Brown may have not been an all-star, but he made more money than you two guys made in your careers. Let's just be real. And you guys like him were journeymen too. So stop acting like he's some biggest bust and all that. When, I mean, this guy had a game in a season where he had, 30 points and 19 rebounds? You can't tell me a bust can't do that. Like, let's just stop it right there.
He did.
So
I mean, okay, the reason why I kind of look at Kwame as a bust because, like, okay, for a guy for your size, and also, like, when he plays good, Kwame plays good. But the problem is he's so inconsistent.
yeah, we know that. We know that Kwame was inconsistent. Look, and the thing is, again, to your point, Sean, I can agree with you in the fact that Kwame didn't always put in the work. And to me, like I said before, to me, that had a lot to do with Jordan hurting his confidence. But at the same time, again, he had years to improve, and unfortunately, he did not do that because he was on many teams. Because there's some value that obviously Kwame has, but it's just he never got.
As a big man, he has a lot of value.
Yeah, and as a big man, of course, but it didn't matter. So then let me get back to Stephen A. Let me get back to Charlemagne. Charlemagne decides to get personal with his family. Kwame calls him out. And let's face it right now, Charlemagne was forced to apologize, but I know his apology was not real. It was fake. So we're not going to fall for that. And again, Charlemagne decided to get personal when it's like, dude, you got some personal stuff of your own that, you did in your career, but I'm not going to get into that.
I know, but I ain't say it. Yeah.
I already know, man. I already know why Two Tones acting like that.
So
man.
Now, let me get to Jamel Hill. Another one.
Oh, man.
Another one.
And she from my city, too. Yeah.
This is what gets
me. Where
are
you from?
I'm from Detroit.
You're from Detroit?
Oh.
Michigan, man. Michigan stand up right here, man. Come on, man. Jay from the Detroit area.
Yeah,
Jamel Hill gets on my damn nerves. And this is what I can't stand. People get upset when I call her out. And I say that what Jamel Hill does, this ain't got nothing to do with her being a woman. The problem is they want to use that gender card every single time just because she is a woman. She decided to stick her nose in their business when she's talking about. Let me just find the quote that she said about Kwame Brown.
Violence. I know what you talk about.
When she decided to get on Kwame Brown on this thing, and she's still talking like she knows what she's talking about when she herself is a racist. And she doesn't get called out. She's been demonizing black men for the last few years.
A racist or a dumb feminine.
Here we go. Here we go.
For years, man.
Here we go. Because Charlemagne ain't nothing but a snake. But here, Jamel Hill goes, Kwame Brown got me checking the tape to make sure I ain't ever said nothing about him. If I did, I'm sorry. Please don't talk about my mama. Jamel, why you had to go and do that for? That just shows me that you purposely wanted to create more clout. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what these guys are doing. What these guys are doing is these guys are creating more clout for Kwame to respond. They're the ones that are creating this whole entertainment back and forth and for people to watch. Right. Why does she shout out to Tyree Love in the building? First of all, why does she choose to invoke herself in her business? The last time I checked, she did the same thing with Marley and LeVar Ball. Let me just say this real quick. LeVar Ball, I gotta give you an apology because over a year ago I had made a video and talked about how much of a loudmouth and stuff and you on that kind of stuff. I apologize because I see now that I've seen more of what these guys are doing in the mainstream media. It's opened my eyes to a lot of things. What you've been doing, what you do for your sons with Lonzo. Again, we could talk about his NBA career, what stuff we want. You know what though? He's being a true father and he's doing the things that he is for his sons. There's a lot
He's a
of
great
people,
father. Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there who could wish what LeVar Ball is doing for his kids. How much of a successful businessman LeVar Ball is. So right here on my channel, I have to give my deepest apologies to you because sometimes I know you talk out of crazy, but I got to understand that you're doing it for entertainment purposes. There's a method to your madness. That's what I realized. And that's why I said I got to apologize to LeVar. LeVar is doing the right thing, what he's doing for his boys. And I wish that there were more fathers like LeVar Ball. I wish there were more guys like him. It took me a little bit of a while to understand it because I was out here saying like, oh, what's LeVar doing, Molly? And I realized that Molly, because she's backed up by the 4-letter network, knew that by her controlling a narrative, they were going to make LeVar look like the villain. So I knew what was happening. And the thing is, that's not the first time Molly has used the switch gears comment. But being that as it made LeVar, like I said, I apologize, my man. I apologize because I understand what pretty much these guys have been pretty much doing this whole time. They use you as entertainment. So getting back on Jemele Hill, she decides to stick herself in. Kwame calls her out, and then Jemele Hill decides to respond by saying this. She goes, let me see if I can find it real quick. I know that she had mentioned that, and then let me see, where's that other one? Here we go. She goes to Kwame, I said you chose violence. It's an expression from Game of Thrones. I didn't call you violent. Please and thank you.
Feminist tactics.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. She decided to use feminism in a male conversation. Why? Because she wants to be on the good graces of the 4-letter network that got her fired.
Probably wants her job back.
That's what she
Of course
wants.
she wants her job.
She
back.
wants her. You know what?
I'm tired of wearing those braids every single day, man.
You know what? Also,
I get a new hairdo.
She's been rocking that hairdo since 2010. 2010,
Yeah.
she's been rocking that hairdo. You know what? I got to give kudos to Carrie Champion. I don't like her neither, but at least she had the wherewithal to stay out of this topic. Because could you imagine? And right now, she out here trying to look like a sexy storm, but that's another story. Anyway,
she look good though.
I mean,
yeah, she does look good, you know what I mean? But
I feel different, but that's another story. Anyway, with all due respect.
Hey, man,
but anyway, getting back to what I was saying, then Jemele Hill decides to do that. Kwame calls her out, and then I said, Jemele Hill, you making yourself look bad. You're trying to get in these good graces, and then that just made you look worse. So moving on from Jemele Hill, now we're going to get to Stephen A. Snitch. Stephen A. Snitch.
Mr. Half Moon himself.
Coon A. Smith. Yep.
Mr. Hyperbole Stephen A. Smith. He thought what he wants to understand is him, like Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, they all wanted to control the narrative. This is what Kwame was talking about. And this is why I stayed back for about a week to see what everybody was trying to do. Stephen A., it'd be one thing if Stephen A. thought that he was just critiquing Kwame's basketball. Did he do that? Absolutely. He did that. He did that while Kwame played in the league. Here's my problem, though. Why did you decide to go on college campuses, Stephen A. Snitch, and talk about these kids and mention about Kwame's basketball career? Just how much of the fact that he was nothing but a bona fide scrub. Why did you do that, Stephen A.? And the thing was, I've been watching Kwame's channel and some of the stuff he talked about, and he said he wants to find out what was the real reason that Stephen A. went to college campuses to talk about his basketball career. So basically, Stephen A. Smith made a career from Kwame Brown. He made a career from Kwame Brown. He was going to make a career off of Kevin Durant too, but guess what? He got stopped in his tracks by Mama Durant. So he was forced to apologize on national TV. We're not even going to talk about the fact that he had to apologize to Michelle Beadle. And what is she? A woman, a blonde, and what is she? White.
Mm-hmm.
He had no problem apologizing to her, right? But he could sit there and say that we've criticized Kwame. It's not personal. You made it personal. No, Matt Barnes decided to be slick. He smiled. Tap Captain Jack on the shoulder. He decided to make it personal. That's the message that Kwame's talking about. Kwame Brown is not talking about the fact that he says that he was this great basketball player. He never said that. Kwame never said that. All of these rants that Kwame Brown is doing, and I made sure that I listen carefully, is personal. Because what is Kwame Brown doing? He's exposing all of these guys on TV. That these guys that are paid, they're not even analysts, ladies and gentlemen. They're not analysts. They're entertainers. They are paid to, and they're paid to entertain.
Right.
You know what Jemele Hill is doing? She's acting like this intellectual feminist, but she decided to put herself in to entertain. Charlemagne the God, they should cancel the Breakfast Club after what he did. After what he did, they should cancel the Breakfast Club.
It's
He decided
garbage
to do this as
anyway.
entertainment. The easy thing they want to say is, "Oh, Kwame, like, why are you getting upset? You did all this. You did all." Yeah, no, Jamel Hill is married, but like I said, man, like there's a whole nother thing to that. But my point is, these guys want to get personal by putting his name out there with the fact that Kwame's been retired for what, 9 years now? He's been retired for 9 years. And Stephen A., every chance he gets, if it's to make a comparison, if it's to go to another campus, to an event or something, you find some reason to use Kwame Brown's name for no reason. And my thing is, why? You didn't talk about Andrea Bargnani like that. You didn't talk about Anthony. Have you ever heard about Anthony Bennett again? Have you heard about Adam Morrison? White or black, it doesn't matter.
He barely talk about Luke Walton, even though he's a worse player than. I'll say that Luke Walton is a worse player than Kwame, but that's
my point. My point is that Stephen A., no matter what, has decided to make a career of calling Kwame a bona fide scrub. He made a career off of that. That's what Jalen Rose was defending on Kwame back in 2011. And you know what hurts with Captain Jack? Captain Jack and Kwame were teammates. And Steven Jackson actually came out and apologized today, but I don't know, and I don't even think his apology is sincere. I don't think so. I don't think so, especially with the backlash that a lot of these guys have gotten. You know what's so funny? I was a guy that was actually supporting Captain Jack and all this talking, but I realized he's a bigger phony as these guys in the media. And this is a black man we're talking about. But this is my point. Yeah. These guys are on T, and it's what Kwame's saying. Think about this, guys. Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson are retired, but they're still making money off of people who they work for. Kwame's not working for anybody. Kwame's his own guy and he's doing his own business. It's just Kwame's been quiet about it. Kwame's been quiet about it for 20 years. We can say what we want about his NBA career. I know this. The thing is also, a lot of people didn't even know that Kwame was this intellectual. They thought that Kwame was just a quiet guy, who didn't know anything. Nobody really knew who Kwame was personally until he started talking on YouTube. Until he started talking.
The first video that I saw from him was, was posted through Ticket TV. He was the first guy that post Kwame videos before everybody else.
Right, and my thing is that I don't go off and like I talk about the other channels that these guys are on. I just focus on my channel because again, that just creates a toxic environment when you go against somebody on YouTube because you don't like about what they did this and this and that. And yeah, there's disrespect that goes around, but that's just toxic. What are you really solving from just going around talking about? Again, yeah, you don't want to be disrespectful, but again, this is what I'm doing. I decided to make this topic because I just want to have an open conversation. That's all this is about. It's an open conversation to get everybody to chime in their thoughts on what they're saying. And when I listen to Kwame Brown, he's absolutely right in what he's talking about. And it's getting exposed right now. It's getting exposed. Stephen A. Smith did a half-ass hard attempt to show about all of Kwame's lowlights of his NBA career. He didn't even show about the good things. That's number one. And talk about, I didn't want to do this.
That was lame as hell, man.
Dude.
I was laughing at it, but at the same time,
yeah,
it's
but
the same old.
But the thing is, you know what it is? I said this before. He tried that, but my thing is he knew he could do that because again, who does he work for? Was he gonna do that if he knew he couldn't do that, knowing the money that Stephen A. makes? No. And that's my problem. They got guys who are working under. And also kudos to Shannon Sharp for not getting himself in this kind of situation either, right?
I think Kwame also talked trash on Shannon Sharp, or he actually praised him.
I'm not even sure. I think he was
talking trash on Shannon.
Yeah, he did some things about Shannon Sharp, man.
Hold on, G Money. With all due respect, man, I don't need the update on the Mavs and the Clippers game. If you understand this stream, this is about Kwame and this is about calling out the mainstream media. So, like, with all due respect, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but like, I don't want any Mavs Clippers updates, man. I would appreciate that if you just don't do that, because again, this is important. This is a conversation, like I said, that needed to be done because I just want people to understand where I'm coming from and where all these brothers right here that are coming from on the platform and in the chat. So my point is, Instead of taking an L, Stephen A decided to go back because according to him, he wasn't going to go at Kwame Brown. He wasn't going to go. He says he's bigger than that, but you decided to go after Kwame Brown. You really thought that by showing low highlights of Kwame's NBA career, that was going to do anything? No. I'm sorry. So basically, you tried to control the narrative by talking about his basketball career, talking about Charlemagne didn't make it personal. Yes, he did.
Yes,
Matt
he
Barnes
did.
didn't make it personal. Yes, he did.
They all did.
Even Captain Jack didn't make it personal. He decided to make it personal because Matt Barnes tried to get him to chime in. That's what he did. Gilbert Arenas actually defended him, and Kwame thought he made it personal, but he spoke to Gilbert, and they're all good. Gilbert was on record as saying he's seen Kwame beat up dudes in the club. Like, you don't want to mess with that guy. So that's why they pretty much patched things up. There was a misunderstanding, but if you listen to Gilbert, he actually defended Kwame. And what he was trying to say in terms of what happened when Kwame was drafted. And because a lot of his former teammates, they just did a podcast the other day. Ethan Thomas, Chris Whitney, Tyrone Nesby. I forgot who the other guy was, and I was watching. They were all talking about how good Kwame was doing in practice. And Kwame even gave them a shout out because, again, we don't know what goes on in the locker room and in practice. Those guys know more. So can they control the narrative somewhat? Yeah, they might because they're not going to give all the details. But again, at the end of the day, those guys in the locker room, they know what happened. Kenya Martin was on what came out and defended Kwame and talked about how much of a clown Stephen A. Smith is. And in the podcast that he was on, he was with Brendan Haywood, another guy who played for the Wizards. He was with Darrell Wright, and he was with I hate to say this, man, but he's another clown, Ryan Hollins. But he was just there, just yes sir, yes sir, yeah. He didn't really say anything.
Like Ryan Hollins.
But my thing is, these guys are given a platform, and they disrespect black athletes. Stephen A's been doing it for years. He's been doing it for years. He's talking about it's not personal, but why do you keep calling instead of calling him Kwame, bro? You keep doing that. Right. You've been doing it for years. You don't respect the man. And I said this because it reminded me of why LeBron calls Kyrie kid all the time. He doesn't call him Kyrie. He calls him kid. When you calling somebody kid instead of their first name, it shows you don't really respect them as a man. Okay? Even if Kyrie and LeBron won a championship together, even though they had success together making it to the finals, LeBron was still referring to him as kid. And it's because of the fallout that happened in Cleveland. That shows me that even though Kyrie dapped it up and he could talk about, I apologize, LeBron, in terms of the leadership thing, they didn't really respect there was, again, respect for their game, but respect as men, there wasn't that. Because you had somebody's narcissistic ego who can't direct somebody. If you really loved and respected Kyrie, you would have called him by his name. You would not be calling him kid to this day. Kyrie is 29 freaking years old, man. How long you gonna be calling him kid? Like, he may look like a kid maybe in face because he's young, but he's a man. He's a 29-year-old man. He's a grown-up.
I also think he probably called him a kid because, he's going to get all the credit regardless if Kyrie is playing great or not.
Right.
So that's probably it too.
Yeah, which is what Kyrie was getting tired of. So now that we've gone on to Stephen A. Snitch, making a career off of Kwame, making money, because he decides to get personal with him for all along. Now we got to get to guys like Tommy Sotomayor, and we got to get to Dr. Voice Watkins.
Oh my God, Tommy Sotomayor. Listen. I never liked Tommy Sotomayor. This dude, I remember the time, it was one of his first channels. I think it was his first channel. Mm-hmm. Like, his audience is way different than now. It was one video that I think it was some scene about like a little kid got killed by the police, like broad daylight. It was in Cleveland, and Tommy Sotomayor was laughing, and I was like, I'm not supporting this guy anymore. Shit, and that's been like, I think that shit had been like around 2010, 2011. Mm-hmm. It was around that time. That's my reason why I never support Tommy Sotomayor. Or I actually like or even respect the guy. But
right. Then you know what? And what's crazy is that just about a year ago, I think it was a year ago or a few months back, he actually had Kwame as a guest on his podcast, on his channel. And they said, they were talking about good things and all this kind of stuff and all that. And then I'll get obviously to I'll talk a little bit on Dr. Boyce Watkins, but basically he decided to personally attack Kwame when he actually had Kwame's number on basically about this idea of, which is what Kwame Brown is saying and what people are missing the message. Kwame allowed a lot of these guys on YouTube and stuff like that to pretty much use his videos as a way, as he thought, to giving a message of what Kwame was talking about some of these black entertainers in the media demonizing and dehumanizing black people and just disrespecting black athletes. That was Kwame's entire message. It had nothing to do with his basketball career. Kwame knows he was not a great player. He knows that. The problem is Stephen A. and these guys in the media have used that as a narrative to say that it's not about basketball, that it was always about basketball. No, if it was about basketball, you would not have been going for years calling him Kwame Brown. You would not be going for years saying he was a bona fide scrub, because I guarantee you we already just talked about it on this channel. There have been players much worse than Kwame Brown, much worse. You cannot tell me you played 12 years in the league. There have been guys who have been out of the league much sooner than that. Okay? You cannot tell me that you play 12 years in the NBA and you make nearly $70 million in your NBA career. You can't. You can't tell me that. Even if he has a career average of 6.6 rebounds and 6.6 points, if you were to do the per 36 stats, because that's an advanced stat, Kwame actually averages 11 points and 9 rebounds if you do his per 36 numbers, which is pretty solid when you consider for an NBA big man. Is it all-star worthy? No. But it's solid if you do his per 36. Now, when it comes to his career, obviously, again, he wasn't as great. And again, I'm pretty sure that Kwame's going to.
He was decent.
Like I said, great. I'm pretty sure that Kwame's going to have his reasoning. But Tommy Sotomayor exposed how much of a fraud he is, because he, like Dr. Boyce Watkins, all proved one thing with some of these YouTubers that are looking for validation. Everybody wants a piece of the pie when Kwame started talking. That's the whole point. That's the point. And that's the message that he basically was saying. Everybody was proving his point. I've seen guys on live streams get emotional about the fact that Kwame did not give them their flowers.
Right.
I know what you're talking about.
You gotta. I'm not even
follow
gonna,
one though.
I'm not
saying no names.
I ain't saying no names either. Yeah,
I'm not, because I've been watching these live streams out here, and he pretty much was, and that's the message that I want people to understand. That a lot of these guys, they want to be with you until they see no benefit. If they're not getting a profit, all of a sudden they turn against you. That's what he was basically talking about. I don't get a chance to profit off. I don't get a thank you. I don't get the congratulations. I don't get adulation on it. Guess what? I'm just going to go on a full-blown rant. You're not going to give me my credit. Oh, you're just a nobody. So all of a sudden, if Kwame wanted to, he could have stopped letting people make videos. But guess what? He let dudes pretty much do that. And the fact that these guys out here now are just complaining, they exposing themselves out here, man, because he let these guys pretty much use his content, and he's thinking that it's getting people to understand the message. This is the message that he's talking about, and this is what I want to get people to understand, that if it was about basketball, you would have never decided to call his name the way that it is. You would have never decided to continuously talk about his NBA career when he's been long retired. Oh, you take a look at Roy Hibbert. He may have been a 2-time All-Star, but how long did he last in the league? And you look at his numbers, he should have been more dominant. But even he wasn't that dominant, and he was out of the league. And at that time, he was invited on ESPN, and Stephen A. got slick with him and decided to get personal about Kwame Brown. This is why Kwame's doing the quote unquote rants as he's doing. And it had a lot to do with the fact that guys are trying to take advantage of what he's doing. They're trying to take advantage of what he's doing. He gave them an opportunity. And guess what? All of these guys, all they're doing now is these guys decided that because I'm not going to get a piece of the pie, I'm going to turn out and I'm just going to decide and they say that Kwame was cloud chasing. Kwame's not cloud chasing. I don't even know when this term cloud chasing even began. I don't know who invented the term because I had to sit there and think about what does really cloud chasing mean? It's kind of like, what does it really mean? But my point is that Kwame was absolutely right in what he was saying. He was absolutely right. Everybody wants a piece of the pie. All these guys in the media, they're entertainment. They're not analysts. When I look at a guy like Tim Legler, he played basketball. He's an analyst. Tim Legler is an analyst. Shannon Sharp, he's an analyst too, but he's a football analyst. When it comes to basketball, there's a reason why he's on Undisputed with Skip and Shannon. Okay? Even though he is an excellent – listen, if I get football analysis, I'm going to Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp is an excellent football analyst. The guy is a Hall of Famer, 8-time Pro Bowler, over 10,000 receiving yards in his career as a tight end. I'm going to go to Shannon Sharp when it comes to football because he knows it's football. The man played the game.
I think he's also a champion too.
He has 3 Super Bowls. He has 3.
Yeah, he has 3.
But when it comes to basketball, hell no. Hell no.
Yeah, I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear.
He makes some good points sometimes, but listen. We talk about Skip and his love for Michael Jordan and Shannon Sharp and LeBron James. When it comes to basketball, Shannon is entertainment. Football, I'm gonna get my analysis for Shannon Sharp. That dude knows the game in and out. Basketball, this whole GOAT mask, this whole having 6 jerseys of LeBron James in the background. I'm cool with one.
Or having LeBron candles in his bedroom and shit.
That's all entertainment. And
all entertainment.
And Skip doing the same thing with Michael Jordan. Same thing with Michael Jordan with Skip. With the shoe wearing and the cut.
Hey, Kwame Brown roast Skip, baby. That was funny. He got a Dracula face.
Yeah, Skip do got a Dracula face, man.
Skip does look like he came out of the 60s and he still looked like and dressed like he came out of the 60s.
Coming for your blood.
So that's my point.
That shit was funny as hell.
So Kwame using his platform, Kwame using the messages, he exposed a lot of people. He exposed the mainstream media. All of these guys are paid to entertain. Skip is an entertainer. He's not an analyst. He may be in journalism, but he's not an analyst. He's an entertainer.
Lewis, what did Michael Wilbon say? Because I heard Michael Wilbon's name was mentioned, but I didn't get a chance to check.
Michael Wilbon, I think it was like during the time, like I'll say like the mid 2000s, that he actually said some like remarks about Kwame. Obviously, also because Game also used him as the butt of jokes. Not as much as Stephen A, but he used Kwame as like somewhat butt of jokes. Now, I do respect Michael Wilbon, but you know what I mean, with the shit he did when it comes to Kobe, I didn't actually respect him no more, or actually respect as much as I used to because of that situation. But yeah.
And then there was I don't remember the situation, but I do know that Kwame called him out on his channel, and he pretty much laid it in on Michael Wilbon. So he wasn't happy. He wasn't happy with him at all. And like I said, I respect Michael Wilbon in terms of what he's done in his career. Don't get me wrong. Michael, obviously one of the most well-respected journalists, but again,
he did some snake shit.
He did some snake shit. Exactly. He did that. And then as a result, it pretty much caused some problems. And like I said, he's one of Stephen A's boys too. So like, you already know that once you got that kind of connection, there's going to be a problem. There's going to be problems. So
he says respectful things about my team, bad boy Pistons. I ain't like some of the comments he made about my team either, man. So,
I got one quick thing I want to say about Stephen A. quick, just real quick, and then
go ahead.
Okay. I keep thinking about this scene from the original Ninja Turtles movie. I don't know if you guys remember
I
remember it.
Yeah,
remember
It's from
I remember it.
it,
Yeah.
1990.
it's it's
Yeah, I
from
remember it
it's
too.
from 1990, and towards the end of the movie, when the Shredder charged at the Splinter,
Yeah.
when Splinter had Shredder over the balcony just before he was getting ready to release him, he was dropping some wisdom. He said, listen, we all death comes to us all, but he said one thing. He said when you die, you're gonna die without honor. And see, that's the thing that Stephen A. Smith needs to learn, because you got to understand when Stuart Scott, God rest his soul, when he passed away, people had nothing but great things and admirable things to say about him, because Stuart Scott was a man of integrity. He was a man of character. He was solid. He always did his job the right way. He didn't talk bad about anybody. He didn't talk bad about any black players, and he did his job well without cooning on a white platform and got
He was
paid
prob
well for it. I don't
oh,
understand why Stephen A. Smith feels like he has to do this to become successful. You might be, yeah, they throwing a few bones at you and a few crumbs at you, but what is it going to amount to in the end? Because once they get done with you, because you're just right now you're just buying time, because within the next 5 years or so, people are gonna get completely tired of you, and they're gonna move on to somebody else, and then what else are you gonna have for yourself when you die? When that day comes, when you die, you're not gonna get the same respect as a Stuart Scott, because what they're gonna say, they're gonna be like, this dude was an a-hole. This guy was a jerk. He got up on a national platform and had nothing but disdain, nothing but negative things to say about you, day in and day out. That's what people's gonna say about you after you leave this earth. Is that something that you want? Is that the type of legacy you want to leave behind? Because because right now what you're doing, you would never be on the same level as a Stuart Scott. Never. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But that's something that applies to everybody. When you die, you want people to say good things about you. You want people to say that, dang, this dude was solid. This he wasn't a snake. He was loyal. He stayed down with me. He never talked bad about me. He never talked bad about anybody in my presence. He always had great, wonderful things to say. And if there was an issue, he always came to me like a man, and we sat down and we spoke about it privately, and we handled it like men. That's what you want people to say about you. You don't want, this is not like, you don't want to, this is not how you want to for your career to end, bruh. This is not how you want, this is not the way to go. This is just not the way to go. And you're not even getting paid half as much as what they were paying Mike Golick on Mike and Mike. Those
Hmm.
guys get paid 20 million. They only paying you 8 million, and you running around here doing everything. They got you covering everything nonstop. They got you on Sports Center. They got you in the morning. They got you in the afternoon slot. They got you after the game, post game. You doing all this work for 8 mil when they was paying other guys for less work and more
Right.
money. Come
Yeah.
on now, bruh. You
Yeah.
playing yourself. You
Yeah.
playing yourself, bruh. Stop it.
No, and it's like that's what Stephen A doesn't want to understand, and that's what I keep telling you guys is that these guys are pawns. It's like you putting these black men on these platforms, and all they're doing is disrespecting other black men. That's what they're doing right now. And let me just say this about the late great Stuart Scott. That's why I had so much respect for him. As Anthony L was saying, that he eloquently put it in, and he did a great job of mentioning it. I always look forward to Stuart Scott because, like I said, he was very innovative because he brought a hip hop feel, to the news industry. Like you didn't see that in the sports industry where a guy brings a hip hop feel to it, and then you get so engaged. And the cool thing about Stuart Scott is, even if he gave you a hip hop feel and made you want to tune in to listen to him, he maintained his professionalism throughout the years. That's why a lot of guys they were cool enough to want to hang out with Stuart Scott. They were cool enough to want to interview Stuart Scott because the thing is, you got to understand, professional athletes, they look at that. They look at guys or women, then they come in and they want to see if these guys are credible enough where they feel comfortable to be able to talk to these people. Stuart Scott did that for many, many, many years, and that's why he was. That's you, bro. You listen, dude. He is family in that Sports Center locker room with everybody he's come encounter with. They were mourning tears for this man when he passed away. That's how special Stuart Scott was. You know, guys like Stuart Scott don't come around. The man was he was a professional, did his job with class, with integrity, never disrespected anyone, no matter what race or skin color they were. But the reason I want to especially mention black is because he never disrespected black athletes. He just did his job to the best of his ability. Exactly. He was a pioneer. That's the best word I could describe about him. Jay in the chat. The guy was cooler than the other side of the pillow. That was one of my favorite lines that he always used. And that's a perfect way to describe Stuart Scott. Cooler than the other side of the pillow. I got nothing but love and respect for him because of that is the way that you analyze. That is the way that you do interviews. That is the way that you do interviews with people. That is the way that you communicate. That's how you do your job. And that's how people command respect. And that gets people to tune in. But that's the thing. They've got people brainwashed and thinking that entertaining while disrespecting people is the way to go. Yeah, man, you're right, man. That guy was a bona fide scrub and all that. But they don't realize that it's been happening for years and it's still happening. And people don't want to understand. Oh, it wasn't personal. It was just about basketball, bro. No, it wasn't. It was personal. It was personal because you've been using his name to make money off of him. So quite honestly,
that's true.
Think about it. Kwame could have had some endorsement deals. He could have been pretty good in terms of business. And Kwame Brown actually came out and said he was on record. He kind of used the NBA as a business. And I said, look, and it's kudos to him because at the end of the day, he may not have been a great NBA player, but that doesn't mean you're not successful in life. And yeah, Stephen A wants to come out and say, oh, we're not saying you're not a bust in life. Dude, you're controlling the narrative and you're doing what the networks want you to do. And like Anthony L said, you got guys like Golick making way more money than you, but you coming out here coming in with them bag eyes that you got because they got you doing like so many things in one day on a show. And they got you, being a news anchor here, and you got your radio podcast over here, and you got to be on First Take over here and Sports Center here. Dude, you're making a fool out of yourself. And that's what these dudes don't want to understand. Stephen A is making a fool out of himself, but you want to sit here and talk about black power, my brothers, and talk about, the head of the NBA, the face that's talking about social issues when I clearly said that he's another pawn that's preaching racism in the black community. He's preaching racism. You see, I was one of those people that I was like, oh yeah, I'm down with the whole Black Lives Matter. When I found out what they were really about, that's when I had to say, wait a minute. I said, oh, there's an agenda going on here. And I don't want to get too much into that, but like I said, it's that stuff is a lot deeper. And I'm saying this is what I want to tell people. People really need to do their research. They really need to do their research. It was the same thing with the Milwaukee Bucks. When I found out the truth, I said they do all of this stuff, the whole Black Lives Matter, it's all a facade. It's basically saying the NBA, they're pretending that they want to be down with the cause, but they're not. It's just another way for the NBA to quote unquote try to make them look good, but they're looking pretty bad. Pretty bad. The
NBA is still looking bad.
Because they decided to mix politics with the game. And then when you look at social issues, a lot of these NBA players, they're clueless. I saw Sterling Brown read off a piece of paper that told me they really don't know nothing. They don't know anything about this person that ended up passing away. They don't know anything. When I saw that, I said, and then this whole one-day protest in the bubble. When I saw it, I said, man, forget it. I said, nah, man, forget it. Forget it. Why do you think nobody was watching the NBA Finals? All of this is promotion, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. All of this is promotion. How are we going to make changes in our community? We got to look to ourselves. We got to be better people, and we got to uplift one another. That's the message that Kwame Brown has been basically saying. All of these black people in the media that are quote unquote what's so crazy? It's crazy that you have a lot of rich, successful people Yeah, I understand that politics has always been a part of sports, but it's also been a problem. It's been a very big problem. Even if these guys are, it's funny how these guys claim to be, they want to be rich and successful, but they want to claim oppression at the same time. You can't do that. You can't have it both ways. You can't claim oppression when you're rich. How does that work?
Uh,
How does
I
that work?
mean,
You hold on. Before you go,
okay.
what I'm
All right.
trying to basically say is this: you may come from nothing. You may come from nothing, and you could become somebody. Of course, I'm not saying that there's, again, you could come from a poor environment. Absolutely. Shout out to Jay Jeff. He said he had to go, man. Appreciate you coming on. But like I said, it's not that you can't come from nothing and be somebody. It's happened before, of course. What I'm trying to tell you is you're now in a position of power. When you're in a position of power, when you're making millions, my thing is how can you claim oppression when you're rich? That's what I'm trying to say. Not that you didn't come from poor neighborhoods. Not that you didn't have as many clothes, you didn't have as many shoes, your mom or father had to work two jobs and all that. Your life conditions were not, they weren't, there wasn't always like the way it was. My point is, when you become successful, you can't claim oppression now that you're in a position of power. That's what I'm basically trying to say. When I see rich, successful black athletes claiming oppression, that's a problem because their situations are not the same as the other people that are still living in slums, that are living in poverty, that are living on the streets. It's not the same. And I get it. You can't help everybody. You can't. But at the same time, if you have a mansion, if you have a family, if you are able to put food on the table, if you live a wonderful, luxurious life, how can you come out here and claim oppression? G Money, I told you with all due respect, do not talk about the Mavericks and the Clippers. I said that already, and you're coming to me telling me about the Clips that are up 24. I said do not mention about any NBA games tonight. This is far more important than an NBA game. I said with all due respect. I said that already. I'm going to say it for the last time. Do not give me any more updates. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I said that already. I don't know if you heard it previously, but I said do not mention that. This is very important, and it's bigger than basketball. This is the whole point that Kwame Brown was talking about. It's bigger than basketball.
Lewis, can I say one more thing?
Go ahead, Anthony L. Go ahead, man. And then I'll let Sean get on the back end. I don't mean to cut you off, Sean, but I just had to get that point off. Go ahead, Anthony.
It's fair.
Okay. Here's the thing, with the because this really all catapulted this all took flights off of the All the Smoke show. And
Mm-hmm.
let me just start there again. And real
Mm-hmm.
quick, I'm gonna get straight to the point.
Yeah.
My whole thing is this. They started off on the right foot,
Right.
Like that interview that they did with Kobe, I will cherish that for the rest of my life. I met Kobe when I was 9. He was the first person ever to give me an autograph. I still
Mm-hmm.
have it. I have it in the photo album. It's I'm I'm not getting rid of it. It's something I'm gonna cherish for the rest of my life. That interview that they did with Kobe, classic. And towards the end of that interview, Kobe complimented him. He said for y'all two to have y'all own show, he said, I'm proud of y'all. He said y'all doing y'all thing, you know. And it's like, don't do that a disservice by using your platform to trash other NBA. You say the NBA is a brotherhood, act like it. Act like it, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and you're not you're it's it's you started off on the right foot with all of the interviews that they did. They've done some great interviews. I say for the first uh year or so since this all has transpired, they've been doing a great job with these interviews. Yeah, it's some moments that'll kind of make you cringe here and there
Right.
on certain interviews, but for the most part, they've been doing a good job. Don't ruin that because you want to fall sucker to falling into that trap of putting down another brother, you know, just so that you could uh 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 draw in more ratings. You ain't got to do that. You don't have to do that to draw ratings. You don't have to do that to get more money. And one thing you need to understand, these producers behind the scenes that's egging you on to talk about these other players and laugh about all of these other players, they're not going to get the blunt of the force. You're going to get the blunt of the force. And they're the ones sitting behind the camera laughing, and then they're getting the most percentage. That check that they're cutting to you, yeah, it's a nice little check, but they're getting more. They're getting paid more off of you down in another black man. See, they ain't got to do that work anymore. All they got to do is just pay you to do it, and they're the ones that's profiting the most off of the damage that you're causing to your own community. And these white folks is going back home to their mansions and to their families laughing like, oh, these niggers are so silly. You know, they're talking bad about one another. Keep doing that and keep making me money, because all they're doing is going back to their families and laughing at you in private. And you think you're doing something great. You ain't doing nothing. You're causing a disservice. You're causing a disservice, and you're contradicting everything that you stood for. And I appreciate the fact that you stood up for George Floyd, but how does this make it any better? You taking a step backwards. It seems like every time you take a step forward, you pushing yourself 2 steps back because of what you're doing to another black man. It's not right. Just lower your pride, lower your ego, apologize. If you would have just apologized from the get-go, like a man, this whole it wouldn't even have been a story. It wouldn't even have gone viral the way that it did had he immediately came back like a man and said, you know what? That's my fault. I was wrong. I apologize. I would never do that again. We wouldn't even be talking about this. It would be done and over with. But see, you letting your ego stand in the way. And all you doing is perpetuating this back and forth over and over and over again. Stop it. You're falling into that trap. You're falling into that very same trap that you're preaching to other black. You're trying to preach to other black men how they shouldn't fall into that trap, and you and all the more at the same time you falling into that trap because you don't want to lower your pride. You don't want to lower your ego and say, "Brother, I'm sorry." And you just converted to Islam. How does this represent what you stand for? If you're getting on a platform, now I'm not judging you for smoking weed, but the fact that you're on a white man's platform and you're allowing these people to make a mockery out of you. You falling asleep in the middle of the interview. You got Matt Barnes, the one asking all the questions, and you laying up there high, you drenched up on the chair. Come on now, that doesn't look presentable. How are you supposed to represent yourself and present yourself as a black Muslim, and you sitting up there talking about we can get all the smoke, and you talking all this gangster stuff? And come on now, which one is it? You can't serve two masters. You either gonna love one or hate the other, but you can't do both. You gotta pick one, bruh. and
Facts.
and and once you decide to pick one, stay with that, you know. But you it's like you unstable, you double-minded, you unstable, you know. And get it together, because you guys started off on the right foot. Don't ruin it, because like I said, like that Kobe interview that y'all did, that's something people is gonna cherish for the rest of their life. 30 years from now, people are gonna look back at that interview. That was one of the last interviews that he did. He did that one, and then the other one with the knuckleheads with Quentin Richardson and Darius Miles. That
Hold on,
was a
real,
good
hold
that
on.
was a
Yeah, don't mean to cut you off. Sorry, man. Because I was gonna say real quick that those are two other guys right there. You talking about Quentin Rich and D Miles, man. Both guys from the hood, played in the NBA, and look what they're doing on the Players Tribune with their Knucklehead podcast. You know the guests that they've had on their show, and it's so cool and chill. And look how professional they've been, and they haven't attacked anybody at any of their
right.
guests. They've had Gary Payton, Allen Iverson, Kobe Bryant, Steve Nash, Shaquille. You could go on
Exactly.
and on. Gilbert Arenas. They've had all these guys, and all they talk about is how they grew up. They talk about how they, their high school, college career, how they got into all that. It's just natural, nice talk, and you get to learn. And look, and these are two black brothers from the hood, and look where they are at right now with their podcast. But yet, Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes want to come out here, and then they were doing great with their All the Smoke podcast. But then their last two, and the thing is, man, I was big on Captain Jack, but I've lost respect for him, and it's gonna take a little bit for him to earn my respect back with some of the ish talking he's been doing as of late. I'm telling you, the real All the Smoke podcast is with the knuckleheads with Q Rich and D Miles. I will stay watching them until Barnes and Jackson change their ways. But go ahead, Anthony. I'll finish, and then Sean, go ahead.
No, I was pretty much done with what I had to say. I'm just saying, like, brothers, we got to do better. We got to because we got enough on us anyway. We already dealing with enough from politics. We already dealing with enough from these uh crazy police officers that's out hunting us right now. We already got it stacked up against us as it is as black men. We don't need to be doing this to ourselves. We don't need to be doing this to ourselves. Find a, if we can't if I because I'm getting tired of the whole this person got to go on a live stream and to respond to this person, and then it's just tit for tat going on. If we can't sit at the table, right? Even if we got to get Minister Farrakhan or somebody to come in and mediate and say, hey, you got a problem, let's sit down and discuss it, and let's articulate our emotions and express our feelings in a way to where we can understand where we're coming from and not insult and tear each other down. If we can't sit at the table and talk, then we need to at least even if we have to fight, let's fight and then get it over with, shake hands and move on. But I just don't like seeing this because they're the ones that's making the money off of this. Even this YouTube platform right now, it's good. The CEO is a white lady. I forgot her name, but y'all keep talking about the platforms that y'all got, and yeah, y'all may make money off of the ads that they run on there, but you got to understand ultimately this is all about capitalism and who's profiting the most off of this. It's like, come on now, we got to do better than this. And even to the people that's going to Kwame Brown's channel, like I challenge you to go over there, not for the snickers and the laugh and the giggles. Open up your ears up and listen to what the man has to say, because he's dropping gems. And a lot of times we get caught up in laughing and giggling, and we miss the entire message because we just want to tune in to hear some drama. We just want to tune in and listen to some drama. We just want to tune in and listen to this black man go after another black man. No, it's not about that. It's about principles. That's what Kwame Brown was talking about. This ain't about no basketball. This is about you being a man and standing on some principles. You understand what I'm saying? These are things we got to teach our young boys. I have a son that's turning 3, that's about to turn 3. He needs to learn these things because he got to grow up and be a man one day. This ain't the time for laughing and giggling. This is the time for us to be listening and learning and really taking in the information that these brothers is dropping, because it's real. It's real out here, and it's a real struggle out here. We don't need to be tearing each other down like this. You know, when we
Right.
try to build something, look at what happened with Nipsey. He was trying to build something, you know, and we still not learning. We still not learning. So that's all I got to say. I ain't trying to preach, but we got to do better. We got to
Yo,
do
but
better.
you, yo, but you're preaching that fire right now on my mic, man. My mic's on fire right now with all that preaching Anthony's doing, man. Spitting facts out here. Go ahead, Sean.
Um, like I said, even though I do consider Kwame, what I mean, what he is as far as the NBA, he does say some real stuff, stuff that I always been preaching for years, and he is a necessary evil for the media, because like the media will have have to stop antagonizing black people, especially the black athletes, and using them as props just in order for them to get paid, or trying to act like they're trying to get a raise just because I shit on my own people. You know what I mean? That's absolutely tasteless.
Right.
Now, as far as the subject about, like, black people who are rich, and say, like, okay, why you guys always always switch up being rich and being oppressed? I used to think like that. I always think like, hey, if you're rich, you get away from all that type of shit. As far as like the struggle, impression, uh, treatment, and that's not always the case. Now, the funny about the power of money, when you have, it depends on the certain person, and also I have to even gonna bring race. It all depends. The power of money always depends on how of the person who holding it. Say, for instance, about what we're talking about. We're talking about rich black people, rich black guys that are going back and forth about, about disrespect, about like, okay, like you guys using my name as a way in order for me to get promotion. Black rich people, even I'll say, yeah, rich people, especially rich black people. Rich black people is like the equivalency for in some, well, to them, as like an upper middle class white guy. Well, rich black men most really as an upper middle class white guy. Money helps the individual to stand upon as like, this is validation for me that I have my own worth. This is validation for me that you should respect me because I have some worth over here. If it's compared to a middle class white guy and also a middle class black guy, those people ain't gonna, which one they're gonna have see more worth on? They're gonna see on most worth on the middle class white guy more than the middle class black guy. I totally understand that just if you're rich, you should have a certain amount of power, but not everyone who's rich has a certain level of power. All that money does not mean you have power. All it is, you just have a certain level of worth. Now, I'm not saying that being rich does not give you that level of power or a level of position, because it can. But your whole group should have more power. A whole group, a rich by groups, is always going to be bigger than rich by individual. If that makes sense, but
I could kind of understand what you're trying to say.
yeah, my point I'm saying is, just because a black man or a black woman is rich, that don't mean they don't escape from racist tensions. The richest Nigerian, he got pulled over by the cops in the United States, like over in Massachusetts 2-3 years ago, and he owned that property. He owned that house, and he still got pulled over because of white people in his neighborhood think he's about to rob. Or even to the fact that even with LeBron James, even though you know how I feel about LeBron James, he's still able to get he's still able to get get a lot of racist tension, even though he is like 100 million. He's like a multi-millionaire. For a white person to have money, like having money, they don't have none of that shit. They don't get spray paint. They don't get arrested because of their own house. They only do that unless, of course, they act like, someone like Jake Paul. And even Jake Paul escaped more shit than us.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, what I mean is that money is one of those things that's important, but doesn't hold the entire totality of the solution. That's what I mean. Yeah, that's my thoughts.
No problem. I partially agree, and then I partially disagree, like respectfully. So
That's
I can,
fair.
I can understand what you're saying. Where I'm coming from, and I'm actually going to end. I'm actually going to end it with this. Before we close out the show, once again, I want to thank Anthony L. Thank you for the $5 donation, by the way, Anthony. I truly appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for being on the panel. Him and Jay, and obviously, I want to thank Sean. But what I'm basically saying is this. I'm basically saying is when you're rich, what I mean by position of power is, and I think I probably worded this wrong. I just mean in terms of you have a high level of worth. You have a high level of worth. Basically, it's like you're no longer part of that struggle. Where you used to struggle, now you're in a different place now. It's like now you're able to make more moves now. Now that you have now that you're able to have now that you're in a higher power worth. I want to go back to CB's comment. He had mentioned about how does an officer know if you're rich when you're walking or jogging down the street. That's a good point because Sean was just mentioning about that about the Nigerian person that he was talking about. That is a good point. That is a good point. At the same time, though, every situation is not the same. It's different. If you have cops that decide to be aggressive and use their authority, then pretty much they're in the wrong. If it's a white black thing, and these guys are getting aggressive over a black person's he's doing everything he's following, but they're trying to bait him into something. That's on the cops. It's another thing if they're pretty much, giving you protocol. They're trying to be reasonable, patient, and making sure that you follow directions. But you decide to go against those directions. Is it the cop's fault or is it going to be your fault? So, like I said, every situation is different. So that's why I said that I could partially agree, but at the same time, it really usually depends. And Sean, was making a good point when it comes to middle class. But the reason I mentioned this is that we have resources. The problem is we don't want to use our resources, and Sean is right to a degree in terms of we want to get a once you're once you're making a good amount in terms of your salary, in terms of your money, you want to kind of get away from that because you don't want, you're trying to be careful in terms of who you associate yourself with, and the way the society is, you have to kind of really be careful, right? But I say this because the issue that we're having is, did I freeze?
Yeah, you froze,
Okay, looks like
but
my
I can
screen
still hear
froze.
you.
Okay. So it looks like I'm suffering from lag, but at least people can hear me. So that's at least a good thing. So hopefully I'll come back in a little bit. But so basically I'm saying this. We have to do better as a community. We have to definitely do better as a community. We have to stop tearing each other down because it starts with us. That's the biggest problem. We have to help each other up. We have to have people in our circle that is about bringing people together, creating income together. Like, that's the message that Kwame's saying, and that's the message that I understood, and that's the message that I'm saying, and that's what Anthony L was saying, and that's what pretty much what Sean was saying.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Because
Yeah.
yeah, and the reason being is because the way the society is right now, the government is trying to make you depend on them when you never could depend on the government. You never could. That's all a facade. All of these guys that are in positions of power in the government, all they say is they talk about good speeches. Whether you agree with their views or not, you got to take care of you because they're not going to really do anything for you. Honestly, they want you to depend on them, which allows them to feed more lies to you. And the more that you allow them to feed you, the more they're allowed to brainwash you. That's why we got to look out for one another and look for ourselves. It starts in the household. Anthony L was talking about his son, about how he has to be eventually got to grow up and be a man. We got to set our morals and our principles in the household. It starts in the household. I'm really thinking I froze. Let me leave the studio and come back. Give me 1 second.
Hmm.
Okay, looks like my device is connected. So yeah, it looks like I'm good there, but now I can't see my camera. But yeah. All right. You can still hear me, right, Sean?
Yeah, I can hear you,
Okay.
but I don't see you through the camera. But
I mean, it's okay.
I want to add one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I do believe the one thing I will say about what Kwame said, and that me and him go agree, is that rich, like, especially even with black athletes and entertainers, they do once they got that amount of money, like being millionaire, being getting over $1 million, they don't share those jewels. They don't share how their success is to other people. They always feel it's always a what is it called? A dog cat world. If you wanted me to say it like that, everyone's like, "Oh, I'm not telling nobody because I'm trying to compete with them," even though you're above everybody else. If I was successful, I will share more of my jewels to others on how to be successful in that type of way. And also, if they concentrate on other endeavors, I'll just give them good advice, just in order for them to help them to have a better way in order to be successful. I think we kind of lack that. We lack that in our community.
Yeah. Yeah, and and you make a great point, and that's why I want to say to you guys that as long as we keep listening to the government, as long as we keep listening to these guys in the media, like our own these black brothers that are out here, making money but working under higher ups, higher corporations. As long as we keep listening to these guys, all we're going to do is make ourselves closed-minded. We're never going to really learn the truth. And this is important that we need to hear this because, again, it all starts in the household. We become better people with morals and principles, educators. We learn from the house. If we're not learning anything in the house, it becomes much harder in life. By the time that you get knowledge, some people are lucky that they're able to find something that it's, there's people who have been able to make it from nothing, but it's always because they get that big break. Some people are not always as fortunate like that. But, Stephen A., Captain Jack, Matt Barnes, Kendrick Perkins, like all these guys in the media, man, that are there.
Kendrick Perkins is trash too.
I'm sorry. I don't care if Perk play the game. He's an entertainer. There's a reason he's a former teammate of who, Mr. Anonymous. all these guys, Damon Jones, Dante Jones. I could somewhat tolerate Richard Jefferson, but my point is that a lot of these guys, again, they're paid to entertain. They're paid to spread lies.
They're paid to kiss LeBrick's ass.
So, and going back to this last comment that CB put, he says most of the time when these athletes talk about racial issues, they are speaking for the voiceless. When they say we are oppressed, perhaps they're talking about the community as a whole. Here's what I'm going to say to that. I'm going to say there's some athletes that are doing that, but there's other athletes that have no idea what they're talking about. They have no idea what they're talking about. They're just saying it to go along with the code, but they really don't know what they're talking about. I can tell you a lot of NBA athletes that are really clueless when it comes to social political issues. I saw it in the bubble. And again, people are going to feel different from what I thought. But that situation with Jacob Blake told me all I needed to know. It told me all I needed to know. And the reason that ratings are down is because fans don't want politics in the game. There's bad enough that a lot of things are going on in this country. You got the pandemic. They go to the game for an escape. And CB, you're right. Politics has always existed for a long time in sports. But you know why the NBA ratings were so high back then when the great players played? It's because they never brought politics into it. Even when role players, have wanted other guys to speak up. I go back to this situation. I go back to the Rodney King situation. And Craig Hodges wanted Magic and Michael to boycott the finals. What's so crazy is Rodney King got that situation happen in Los Angeles. Nobody ever killed Magic Johnson for it. They killed Michael Jordan for it. And I said Magic Johnson was one of the faces of the league at the time. I think he retired. He ended up retiring in '91 due to the HIV. I remember that he was the head spokesman for the HIV/AIDS, and people were looking to him and how is he going to help people feel better about having AIDS? What was going to be done in terms of improve their living? But my point is, Rodney King got severely beaten by cops in LA. You got Shannon Sharp, the face of you know what. I told you, football analyst, I'll go to him every single time. Knows the game in and out. Basketball, he's an entertainer, just like Skip. He's not a journalist, he's an entertainer. He decided to put the blame on Michael Jordan. And I said, okay, that's fine, but where's the blame for Magic Johnson? Where's the blame for Isaiah Thomas? Talking about black-figured men here. And I don't want to really put it on with Isaiah Thomas, but, because obviously he's in Detroit. But I'm saying it happened in Magic's backyard of L.A., and I never heard you once call out Magic for that. Not once. But you put it on Michael Jordan. But then you want to come out, and when Bron got himself in a lot of fire for that, what he did with that cop, then you want to say, oh, I understand why Jordan was not didn't really get into politics. You're really thinning a fine line. Trust me, Jordan would get absolutely ridiculed if he decided to talk about politics, because Jordan is on record as saying that he had no idea really on politics. He had no idea. He only focused on basketball. If Jordan was to get on there, could you imagine what the media would have done to him back then if social media existed the way it is now? He would be a laughingstock of the league. The league ratings would have went down in Jordan's time. And he would have been treated as a joke, even if he's as good of a basketball player as he is.
I mean, all right. Politics is I wouldn't say the NBA ratings gone down because of politics. It's more so about racism than anything. Like people, it's like obviously other races watch basketball besides black people, but like the call about black people and also putting upon the black struggle towards platforms like the NBA does hinder ratings, because like people don't want to hear that. They don't give a fuck about me about all that. They just like, shit, I'm here because I want to watch a game, and we're not here about the black scroll. If you want to talk about that, talk to somebody else. But over here, we're watching games. We're here for shit talking. Mm-hmm. We're here to see you guys win or lose, and we ruin our teams no matter what. So there it is. I don't think it's a political thing. I do think that, these days people are a little bit too, I'll say a little bit too liberal, but hey, that's just what I just think. But it's not just a political thing. It's more like more like racism type of thing.
Well, the thing is that I partially agree with you, but the reason I'm mentioning politics is because it's involving races who, even though people pay attention to politics, it's like you mentioned, they're not looking to see that. They just care about the game. They care about the sport. They don't care about that. In terms of the racism, it goes into socialism, which is another whole thing, because it's dealing with people, and the fact that it's the whole thing with the whole issue with racism and the whole thing with black versus white, which is another thing that's really clouding this whole thing. People in the government are trying to force it to be black versus white. And like I said, I could go on, and it's a lot deep. But real quick, before we're going to end this, the Celtics fan that threw the water bottle at Kyrie Irving, this was what Kyrie Irving was afraid of. And people were talking about, oh, Kyrie is woke, this and this and that, say whatever you want. But what Kyrie Irving was saying, which he was kind of fearing, actually ended up happening tonight. Celtics fan threw a water on the court, threw a water bottle at Kyrie. And once again, malice in the palace happened 17 years ago. But yet this is already the third incident in the first round of the playoffs of 2021. Yeah, I wanted to get the vaccination to get fans back in the arena, offer money to allow the fans to do this. This is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. The NBA forced fans back because they wanted to recuperate money, but I thought you guys were good with the money that you guys were receiving from China. Yet you wanted fans back in the game to recoup all this money, and yet the fans we've already had 3 incidents in the playoffs. 3. This is going to start to give more people reason to not watch the NBA. It's already bad enough that ratings are low because of socialism, racism, and politics. But now that fans are getting free reign to do what they want, and some of these guys get protected, which I feel like punishment is not severe enough. I'm telling you, it's gonna look even worse for the NBA. It's not good on their part. But anyway, let me just close it on this last point, and then we're gonna close it on the show. So, like I said, brothers, I want you guys to understand the message that Kwame was saying. What Kwame's basically saying had never had anything to do with basketball. It had nothing to do with basketball. Everybody's saying that he's a clout chaser. You guys are missing the message that Kwame Brown is saying. This had nothing to do with his basketball career. Kwame was on record on a couple of his streams that he knew he was not a great NBA player. The problem is people are failing to do their research when it comes to why Kwame is talking the way he is. This is why I sat back and I decided not to do the wave and just go on everybody who decided to talk about Kwame Brown, because that would have been the easy thing to do. If I wanted to jump on the wave, I could have done that. I waited to listen to what everybody was pretty much talking about when it came to the situation on why he was going after Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson and Jamel Hill. All of these guys decided that they wanted a piece of the pie. Matt Barnes was the one that decided to make this entertaining. ESPN, by the way, with Stephen A doing what he did in that half-ass stunt attempt, these guys really thought that with Kwame going off the way that he did, it was going to help their ratings. If you see the video, ladies and gentlemen, the like to dislike ratio is crazy. It's a hell of a lot close because they knew what Stephen A was really trying to do, and Kwame said what Stephen A was going to do, and Stephen A ended up doing it. Despite the fact that Stephen A said, I was not going to stoop to that level. He decided to stoop to that level because his master said it was okay for him to do it. And what he did was absolutely terrible because it only exposed what Kwame was talking about. It only exposed what Kwame was talking about. And now that these guys that Kwame has done interviews with, they all wanted a piece of the pie. And because they didn't get it, they didn't get the validation, they have now gone personally to attack Kwame Brown. You guys are proving Kwame right. That's the whole message that he was talking about. It had nothing to do with basketball. Everybody knows that Kwame didn't have the greatest career in the world, but he did better than a lot of guys who were in the league and really didn't amount to anything. Yeah, 6.6 points and 6 rebounds per game. That don't sound great. That's not it doesn't sound like a great career for somebody who played 12 years. But he was able to maximize his earnings, and he did better than NBA players who were projected to be good, if not, and they didn't last long in the NBA. So what Kwame's talking about, he's exposing the media for the fact that there's guys who want to act like they're down with you until you find out who they really are. And the same dudes who want to control the narrative, talking about it's a basketball thing. No, it was personal. You guys just tried to be passive aggressive with your personal attack, and it didn't work. That's what Kwame's exposing, ladies and gentlemen. That was the whole point of all of his. I don't know if you guys saw, Sean, I urge you to check this out. He did a podcast with Devin George. I want you guys to listen to that conversation. I really want you guys to listen to that. Really, really insightful. Devin George currently does residency for homes, for people who are homeless. And listening to his story, and I got to check out on the Players Tribune and what he's doing, especially with post-NBA career, what he's doing for the brothers is pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. that I didn't even, and it shows you the conversations that he's having with Judge Brown, the conversation that he just had with Devin George. These are the conversations that we need to start having, folks. We need to stop getting emotional. We need to stop always trying to cut people off because you want to get your point across because you think your point is bigger than everybody. Why do you think I let these brothers Sean and Anthony and Jay, say their pieces? I did cut them off a little bit, and I didn't mean to. I just had to get some points out there, but I also let them speak because I want them to get their points across. Whether we agree or disagree, the whole point is to have a conversation when we listen to one another. That's the whole point.
You didn't cut me off, bro.
No, I don't mean like totally, but it was like when I needed to get a point where you were talking, I kind of did. So,
I know, but you did like some of the times when you cut me off, you actually were adding my points, so it wasn't really a big deal. Adding or like give me another perspective about it.
Yeah, I understand, but I just wanted to make sure because again, my whole point about this is I'm holding myself accountable, and that's what Kwame's talking about, and that's what I was basically saying. Like with what I said, I'm holding myself accountable. It's all about accountability. These guys are not holding themselves accountable. Stephen A., Captain Jack, Matt Barnes, Charlamagne the God, Jamel Hill, and now we got.
I don't think Charlamagne the God is going to be taking himself to be accountable, or even DJ Envy too.
Yeah, right. Tommy Sotomayor and Dr. Boyce Walker. These guys are not holding themselves accountable, and they expose themselves for who they are. They expose themselves. And lastly, but not least, Jay says right. It's on the NBA and their approach. The NBA can't be shocked with what happens to these players by actions of the fans, especially to Kyrie or Russ. We knew what was coming, and the NBA doesn't. That's what's really sad about it. And Adam Silver, this is why I said that I call him Adam No Backbone Silver. You let the players run the league, which was a bad thing. That's number one. But number two, look what the fans are doing. And you were so eager to get these guys back in the NBA for the owners' pockets. And look what it's doing right now. It's letting fans do what they want.
I feel like Adam should be retired. He should actually quit from being a commissioner and give it to somebody else.
Exactly.
Someone old school.
Right. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this was a wonderful stream. I'm glad to have Sean on the panel. I'm glad to have Anthony L on the panel. I think this was much needed. Again, I could care less about the views. I could care less about how many people were watching. This was something that I wanted to do because I felt like it was something that needed to be talked about. Kwame's talking about accountability. Kwame's talking about black men in the industry that are using their platform for the wrong reasons. That's what he's talking about. He's not talking about basketball. He's not talking about guys that are acting petty. You should be using your platform. As Anthony L said, that conversation with Kobe on the All the Smoke podcast, that's what people want to see, man. We got to uplift each other up. That's what he's talking about. That's what he's talking about. He was on Facebook talking about all this stuff long before he even got on YouTube. It's just people don't know about that. They just look at this 1 week and say he's clout chasing. But this is why I go back and say, this is why I stayed back. You got to do your research. Do your research. I keep saying that time and time again. Do your research. Do your research. So yeah, Sean, everybody in the chat, I want you guys to check out the Kwame Brown Bus Life on the conversation he had with Devin George. I'm telling you, there's a lot of insightful stuff that I saw in that interview. A lot of insightful stuff. And like I said, you get to learn about what really happens when these guys, because Devin, and you know this, Sean, him and Devin George were teammates on the Lakers. Again.
Yeah, I remember.
Say what you want about Kwame's career, and I get it. Like, dude, there was some times that Kwame, he didn't make me happy with some of the stuff that he did on the court, obviously. But like I said, just because you weren't great on the court doesn't mean you weren't great in life. And Kwame's showing you that you could be a winner.
Of course. I never say that Kwame is a loser in life.
Oh, no.
That's far from the truth. I'm just saying, like, I'm not one of these, like, fake, I love drama hearing fans trying to, I'll say, to ride the wave because people say it's popular to do so. Like I said, the absolute truth when it comes to Kwame Brown. Kwame Brown, to me, he has, he has failed to awaken his potential in the NBA. He did like underperform with and while his Wizards years. and I'm not gonna change that.
No,
But
no.
I'm not gonna. While saying that, I do respect the fact that he actually called out the NBA. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm not anti-celebrity, but I'm not for bullshit either. You know what I mean? Like, Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes, even though he did say things personally, I will say that they deserve it because, you know what I mean, they were teammates. You know what I mean? There were guys that were pretty much in the same level, if not higher than Kwame's. So, and like there should be a certain level of respect factor. But I think for me, for the most part, most people are there not because of the message, because it's for the drama, it's for the bullshit, and they just entertained by that. And you know what I mean, that's unfortunate. Now, you know what I mean, when I watch some of his episodes, I watch some of his videos through his YouTube. There's things I agree with, there's things I don't agree with. There's certain aspects I agree in,
right,
and vice versa, especially with the Candace Owens one, which I don't agree with what she does, but there's certain things I will say I'm on her side at. But yeah, I mean, I never said Kwame was a loser. I just said I'm not a pocket watching fan. You know what I mean?
Right.
Most fans be on their bankroll or talk about like, oh, you made 66 million. I just think that if you pocket watching, that's what broke people do. Pocket watch on other people, gaslighting on other people's money instead of just like, okay, you can admire his wealth and get your own wealth while doing that. You know what I mean? It's like some sense of motivation.
Right. So I'm gonna close it with this, guys. Kwame is just basically saying that at the end of the day, he's trying to do things, and the guy is a busy guy. So basically, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to do is, I know that all of a lot of those subscribers, I see them laugh when he does the laugh thing, when he talks about mama's cooking, it gets a good laugh, and it sounds entertaining. But at the same time, people are missing. There are people on that platform who are his subscribers that are not understanding the message, and that's what you need to do when you look at his channel. Just listen to the message. Again, the 3D intellectual thinkers are going to understand it. The guys who think 3D, three-dimensional, guys who think on that level are going to look for the message on his streams, and that's pretty much the point that he is trying to make. He's talking about accountability as men in the Black community, and I would even say all communities, man. I just don't want to restrict it to Black because, again, everybody, all races could do better. To be honest with you. Everybody.
I mean, I mean, that's cool and all, but majority of the time, I always concentrate on my own people first before anything else. So.
No, of course. I'm just saying that everybody, in terms of accountability, we could all do better. But again, yeah, you focus on the people around you, and that's the message that he's pretty much saying. I'm just mentioning that. So, like I said, at the end of the day, that's all it was. At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen. It's not about basketball. It got personal. And these guys in the media, at the end of the day, they're puppets. They're puppets. Whether you like it or not, they are puppets and they're there to entertain. And what they're doing, don't let them brainwash you, because that's what all this is. And that's why some of these prominent Black athletes you see here in basketball, baseball, whatever, when you hear them talk, you could tell who the difference is for a guy who's really there trying to do stuff for his community, and then the other guy who's just talking because he's just there as a face and as a pawn, basically just trying to say a message that he has no clue about or he doesn't really care about. Trust me, I've seen it enough to really try to understand now. I used to be really ignorant on these things, but I've gotten a better understanding of it now, especially with this politics, because the politics have gotten me to pay more attention to what's really going on in our society. So, ladies and gentlemen,
yeah, I could relate that.
Yeah, man, that's the end of the stream. Sean, thank you so much. Anthony, L, thank you so much for being here. J. Jeff, appreciate you as always. Jay, Freddie, even
thank
CB.
you for allowing me being part of the stream.
Obviously, man.
Yeah.
No problem. So, ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful night. This was an awesome stream. I'm glad that everybody got a chance to speak their mind. And like I said, this message is, again, just for people to understand that we got to do better and uplift ourselves. Worry about us. We got to stop worrying about other people, because these guys, these celebrities are not going to do anything for us. These athletes, younger kids, they're going to look into them as their idols, and I can understand that. I can understand that. But teenagers,
some do, some don't.
Some do, some don't. It really depends. But my point is, for the most part, in general, kids are going to look into them as their idols because, again, it's, you know, and I can, like I said, at one point I understand. But as teenagers and adults, I'm going to say that again. You can respect the craft, but I cannot respect the worship. When you start to go worship, that conversation loses, because all of us, it becomes about emotion and it doesn't become about logic. And I've said it before, facts over feelings, put logic over emotions. That's the message I hope you guys get. It's bigger than the game. It's about respect. It's about values. It's about morals, principles, accountability, uplifting each other, doing for you, understanding yourself, helping the people close to you, around you, uplift. That's the whole point. And understand that these people in the media, you can't take these guys seriously, because they are there to entertain, not to educate. They're there to entertain. If I need education, I go to analysts. But if I want to have a good laugh, I look at entertainers. There's people in the media, they're entertaining. Captain Jack, Matt Barnes, y'all got to do better than that, man. Got to do better. And that's the point of the message, man. Enough with the disrespect. Stephen A. Snitch, I don't know if he's ever going to understand it, because, again, that dude is under mind control, if you ask me. But anyway, have a wonderful night, guys. From the Lewis Sports Network, as Ryan always says, we chat together, we stream together, family for life. This is Lewis, to Sean, to Anthony L. Peace and blessings. Jay, Jeff, everybody else in the chat, bless up. Live, laugh, love.
Have a blessed day.
All right, man. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for being part of the stream. And you already know, as I always say, I am gone. Have a wonderful night, guys. Happy Memorial Day as well.
Taken by Iguodala. They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!